The CHAZ in chaos.
CHAZ.
Another dude gets shot.
Again.
So this is the third shooting. And there's crazy videos coming out where they're like complaining about, why won't the medics come in? Why won't the EMTs come in? It's like, bro, because someone just got shot and there's no cops.
F your system, I believe.
Yeah, F your politics, your corrupt system. These kids, man, they don't get the games they're playing. I keep saying this. They're playing for keeps. They don't get it.
Yep.
So they kick out all the cops. They say we refuse to talk to cops. So then somebody's like, oh, here's my chance to go get retaliation on some dude I don't like.
Yep.
Apparently the story is, I don't know what the developments are, but some dude shows up in an SUV or something, has a rifle. Dude dies.
That's it.
Medics won't come in. Dude bleeds out. Welcome to the real world, man. It's a tragedy. I'm not saying it's nothing to be happy or to laugh about. No way.
Yeah, but do you think a medic who someone just got shot, a medic's gonna go in there and risk themselves getting shot? It's like,
of course they're not.
I don't blame the medic for not going in there. It's procedure for them to wait until the police like lock the scene down and make it safe for them to go and help unless they get shot themselves.
These people are crazy, man.
I don't blame them.
Well, welcome to the show. We got that story. They're racially segregating. Gotta love that. Oh man, yeah, great.
It's insane.
Gotta love how the leftist activists are all about segregation. They absolutely are, because they're insane.
Yeah.
And man, they're literally doing it. And it's white people enforcing it. It's the weirdest, craziest.
Yeah, it's weird.
All right, man, you do your thing. And remember when we talked about this? I mentioned that during the Black Lives Matter protests, like in 2014, somebody put out a letter saying that segregation was a trick by the white man to force, black people under their society or something like that.
I vaguely remember it.
Oh, it was passively mentioned. It was like some activists said that before segregation, they had their own farms, their own businesses, their own banks, they had their own society.
Yeah.
And then ending segregation forced them to work under the system that was made by white people, who then used Jim Crow laws to stop them from building their own things.
I see.
That was one of the theories they had. So it's no surprise now that you got white people implementing segregation.
And didn't California actually pass that law now?
They voted to pass it. They didn't ratify it yet.
Oh, okay.
So California has actually voted to repeal their civil rights legislation from their constitution.
It's crazy.
It's going to be, and I told my friend.
What?
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this bill, and she said that it's good because now we can make sure there's equality, because now we can choose to make sure that certain people get represented and get jobs. And I said, and the majority of the country is what race? White people? Yeah. And do you think that white people in certain areas are going to be like whites only now that you've repealed this? And do you think Donald Trump will intervene to stop that? Thank you. Now you understand why repealing that was insane.
Yeah, it is.
And insane. It makes no sense. So for those who aren't familiar, it's the California Democrats are trying to repeal. They literally voted to do it. And so now it's got to go to the California Senate, and it would repeal the text from their constitution that says the state shall not discriminate or grant preferential treatment on the basis of race, color, sex, national origin, ethnicity, et cetera, et cetera. It's
insane.
It's like a mirror to the 1964 Civil Rights Act in reference to the public, but it says public employment. I wonder if that means public as in the states, or it means public as in public accommodation. Public accommodation means literally everything. Okay. Like you go to Wendy's, it's a public accommodation. Oh, okay. So this could be interesting. You might see some, there are racist areas, man. And there could be a cop, and he's going to be like, we're allowed to.
Yep.
We're allowed to do this. Thank you, California Democrats. Anyway, man, we got a heavy show, man. Some dude got shot in the CHAZ, and the Chazians are outraged. They're demanding a curfew, safe zones, whatever. I don't know what they're doing. These people are nuts. They lost it. They're it's funny because during Occupy Wall Street, they talked about how they're trying to experimenting with creating new systems. And I'm like, no, you're not, dude. Look, we've got thousands of years of history and books. Yeah. And these different things have been tried, and we tracked them, we recorded them. We understand what systems work, why they don't. So you think you're going to have your 6-block radius of Seattle with no food, and you're going to come up with like some new system? Yeah, your kid's playing a game.
That's why they had to drop the CHAZ name.
Right.
Like, no, we're still a part of the states. Please.
We're not autonomous, please.
We want all of the amenities of regular society without any of the work, responsibility.
All right. So I guess there's also this fireworks conspiracy. We're going to talk about all this stuff. Yeah. But I think we might as well just jump into the chop stuff. Before we get started, make sure you
smash the like button.
Smash it good. We have
caress it softly. I will accept that also.
So
actually, I do want to say thanks. Shout out to Super Bam Bam and J-Mac, some huge super chats that we didn't get to read after our jam session.
Word.
One of them simply was lift the lighter into the air. But it was a huge super chat. I just wanted to give him a shout out. And also, thank you to whoever sent this fine bottle of whiskey, of Resurgent Bourbon Whiskey. Someone sent it to Tim, but I only assume it was for me.
Don't think that's for
It's just my name on it. I'm pretty sure it's yours.
I'm taking it. It's mine.
Yeah.
So
He's the only one who drinks the whiskey.
pretty sure everyone knows I'm the whiskey guy here.
Yeah.
So, but thank you. I really appreciate that. That's cool. So
Hit the like button, subscribe, notification bell, all that good. Smash it.
Smash the like button.
And you know what? You can get in the super chat if you want to, but I got bad news. It's like for some reason YouTube just keeps erasing the super chats.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
gosh.
it already erased like 10 of them.
Unacceptable.
What?
I don't know. YouTube does this, but
YouTube.
They're still super chats, so we'll do our best to read as many as we can, as we normally do.
Yeah.
And let's just read about this dude who got shot in Chop. Huh?
Yeah, let's get into it.
I gotta say, I really don't like that they call it Chop, and you know what? I refuse. I also won't.
CHAZ.
I won't call it Willis Tower either.
Sears Tower.
It's the Sears Tower.
Yes, I'm with you, bro. The Sears Tower, man.
Yeah.
What is Willis Tower? No, it's the Sears Tower. I have a little thing. It says Sears Tower on it. When I went there and looked down in school, I was like,
But Sears is
6,
like
7
not a
years
company.
old.
So we're talking about, you guys know Chicago. They got the Sears Tower.
They might not.
They changed the name to Willis Tower.
I don't know if you know this. Tim is from Chicago.
Oh, what
The
part
south-
of Chicago?
south side of Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was like growing up in a war zone. I'm only half kidding, by the way.
But funny enough, I'm actually also from Chicago. I was born in the city in Lakeshore Drive, and we didn't know each other until later on in life, but
Must be a Chicago thing. We get along, you know what I mean?
we were like, hey, I think that was the first thing he said to me. Hey, are you from Chicago?
No.
I know it wasn't.
All right, check us out. We got local Fox. Teen shot in Seattle's Chop is declining to do a police interview, and this is what they're all about. They have like this rule where you can't talk to the police.
Yep.
So there you go. Here's the latest report. So I don't know if you guys heard. 2 days ago, not even 2 days ago, we had 2 shootings, and I mentioned this earlier. A guy gets out of an SUV reportedly with a rifle, shoots somebody and kills him. They blocked the police from getting in.
Yep.
The medics who showed up, they were like, the medics wouldn't come in, so they were yelling at the medics, and the medics are like, no cops, no save.
Yep.
That's it. You know, we're not going to.
I don't blame him.
So now we have this story. Check it out. For the second time in less than 48 hours, there was a shooting in Seattle's occupied protest zone, but the 17-year-old victim declined to speak with the detectives, leaving the circumstances of the shooting unclear, police said Monday. Video has emerged.
Oh, really?
A fight broke out.
Okay.
And then everyone's trying to break it up, and they're fighting, and then all of a sudden, like the next clip is pop, 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 pop. Dude gets shot.
It's funny how they pick and choose their battles between when they want the help and when they don't want the help.
Oh, of course. They want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yep.
The story says the shooting happened late Sunday night in the area known as Chop for Capitol Hill or occupied protests. See, they don't even know what it means. Is it organized? Is it occupied? Nobody knows.
It's not organized.
It's not Chop. It's CHAZ.
It's CHAZ.
It's CHAZ. Think about this. If it was an autonomous zone, who conquered it to make it organized? Was it repatriated by America? They came back in and took it back?
Yeah.
It's no longer autonomous? As with a 2 a.m. shooting in the same park Saturday left a 19-year-old man dead and a 33-year-old man critically injured, responding police and emergency medics staged at the edge of the protest zone before going in. And again, volunteer medics inside the zone brought the victim to the hospital in a private car rather than wait for the police or fire departments. I mean, look, I'm not going to pretend to know what you should do. Maybe you should rush someone to the hospital if you can.
Yeah.
Instead of just sitting around waiting. Maybe the EMTs would be better because the ambulance is going to have, tools and medical kits and stuff.
Yeah, might be able to stop the bleeding.
To ensure the safety of medical personnel, police staged with Seattle Fire at the edge of the Chop area and were gathering information about where the shooting victim was located when they learned he had been transported in a private vehicle, blah, blah, blah. The 17-year-old was treated and released and declined to speak with detectives, the department said. Investigators asked anyone with information about the shooting to come forward. So this is the chaos, right? In response to this, CHAZ members, proposed changes to protest zone, including curfew, safe use sites after violent weekend. These poor babies are so clueless.
Safe use sites?
Drugs.
Drugs.
Great.
These poor babies. They're like, maybe if we just have safe areas for drug use, the people will stop shooting each other. Bro, they got into a fight.
Yep.
Somebody had a gun,
Yeah, that's going to happen no matter where that safe use
No matter
place
what.
is.
Well, no matter what laws
Whether they've
you have.
got it or not.
Somebody's got a gun.
What laws?
Oh, yeah.
What laws?
Well, they're more like guidelines.
Sure.
Over the CHAZ.
No, that's not happening.
Here's what they say. Some members of the CHOP have called for changes to the protest zone following several shootings over the weekend that left one person dead and 2 injured. In an open letter addressed to the CHOP leaders and organizers, a group of approximately 25 activists and volunteers proposed changes that include setting up a safe use area on the outskirts of the occupied area and creating signage that encourages intoxicated people to stay away from the protest zone. You know what, man? I'm not going to read this. These people are out of their mind. I get it. You want a curfew? That's fine. Listen,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. This kid who's refusing to talk to cops probably did the right thing.
Yeah, because if he went back in there and did talk to them, he'd be killed. Oh, did you speak to the police?
You're
done.
Maybe, but no,
Snitches.
more likely he'd just go to jail.
If he said something?
Yeah, there was
Fifth, right?
There was a fight that broke out between Proud Boys and Antifa in New York City.
Okay.
And they arrested the Proud Boys who, like, I think they arrested the Proud Boys for this. The Antifa people who got beat up refused to cooperate with the police and fled. The police then came out later and said if they did know who the Antifa people were, they would have arrested them too. That's why the far leftists got away with it.
Yeah.
So this was a story in New York where there was an event held by Proud Boys. Antifa was surrounding it, yelling stuff. The Proud Boys were leaving, see the Antifa guys, and then they, run at each other. Or the Proud Boys ran at them. They threw a bottle, started fighting. Proud Boys just whomped the Antifa guys hard. Obviously, these guys are scrawny.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to defend themselves. And then the cops showed up. The Antifa guys took off.
Yeah.
Wouldn't talk to the cops. And then the cops were like, "It's too bad. Only these guys are going to prison." And the Proud Boys guys ended up going to prison.
Yeah.
So anyway, that dude who got shot probably did the right thing. It's unfortunate, I guess, because this place is lawless, the Wild Wild West. But it does have some laws. Okay.
Yeah, he probably knows the person who shot him.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm moving on now.
Oh,
Talk
okay.
about the actual laws.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. See, in the CHAZ, if you shoot somebody, you get away with it because no one will talk to the cops, right?
Right.
And also in the CHAZ, if you're white, you can't go in certain places.
Yeah.
Because they have certain areas only for certain races. And that brings us to this one. This is a tweet from Andy No. White allies. It has been respectfully requested that we leave the police-free zone for mourning and celebration of the non-white community from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 19 June 2020. Please demonstrate your support by joining us around the barricade. White out. There you go.
Wow.
And so then, not only did they do the white out, they did the blackout. Check this out. Zuby tweeted, white leftists in CHAZ Chop Seattle protecting the border of a colored-only zone in the name of anti-racism. Because racial segregation is obviously progressive.
Yeah, right.
So this dude walks up.
So bad.
You can see there's like an Asian woman. There's a bunch of scrawny little white women. And then there it is, blackout. An all-black healing space.
I saw this. And actually, if you look, I was looking into who's back there. I see white people in there.
Well, that's because
See them hanging out.
They're historically oppressed.
Oh, right.
That's what she says.
Yeah, she said, well, if you've been oppressed, then, or if it's in your ancestry, then okay.
So look, clearly they're doing the early stages of segregation.
Yeah.
They did the farm. Now they're doing, black-only spaces. This is completely normal. I've seen this stuff happen all the time. What's the next step? In California, they're passing that law, they're repealing the Constitution.
Yeah.
The clause in the Constitution that says the state can't discriminate. Every single news story about this is fake news. This is the amazing thing.
Really?
When I send it to my friends, you know what they do? They Google search it. And what do they find? CNN, New York Times, Washington Post.
Yeah.
All saying the bill stopped affirmative action. By repealing it, the state can enact affirmative action. It doesn't actually tell you what the bill does.
It's just the title of it, right?
And so, no, the press is lying. They're straight up lying. It would be like, man, it's a weaselly way of manipulating people into giving up their civil rights.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's what I'm seeing.
The media says, we can't, imagine it this way. Imagine if a political party voted to make murder legal, decriminalize murder, straight up murder.
Just, it's okay to
premeditated,
just to kill people.
Yes. And then the press reported the bill that was in place prevented people from defending themselves in their homes. With this repealing of this bill, you will now be legally allowed to defend yourself. Well, yes, technically, You can defend yourself by taking someone's life if you have to.
Yeah.
But it's like, if they really wanted affirmative action, why would they repeal the whole thing instead of just adding a clause?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's the trajectory of the woke left, man. That's what they're all
scary,
about.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna hit a wall, and the wall is they're running full steam towards the wall.
I think it was James Lindsay who tweeted this out. He said, "I just saw the beginning of the end for all this nonsense." Mm-hmm. A professional upper middle class white woman saying, "Wait a minute, you mean my kids are going to be disadvantaged just because of the color of their skin?"
Oh boy.
And there you go.
That's it.
And so I think it was him or somebody responded saying, "These movements always end when the children of the elites get threatened. Now all of a sudden the fun and games are over. How dare you?" This is what I was trying to tell my friend, man. I was like, you think that if they repeal this law, all of the rich white people are going to be like, "Hey, we're good. Yeah, we're not going to discriminate. You guys go ahead and do it. We won't." And I asked her, I was like, don't you know there's a ton of areas of California that are like extremely racist? And she said, yes. I was like, dude, have you ever been to Carlsbad? Now look, with all due respect, Carlsbad. All right. When I was covering the droughts in California, there were people in Carlsbad who were complaining that their lawns would turn brown and they should have a right to water their lawns. And we were like, you do know that like a few miles that way, they have no water to drink. Like, maybe you shouldn't water your lawns and maybe your lawns will brown. This is drought. What do you expect?
Yeah.
And they complained.
Wow.
When I went to Tulare County,
Yeah, it's a rich area.
there was a golf course with sprinklers on. Across the street, literally across the street, no water. They were like, the families had no water, couldn't shower. They had to have big trucks come in with non-potable water that you couldn't drink, but you could clean yourself with.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So what do you think happens when you man, these people are nuts. They say that California is, a couple of years ahead of the rest of us.
Yeah, and then they're thinking that California, they're going to pass this law or the amendment or an amendment of the amendment, I guess. Yeah, so
they're repealing
so the repealment of the amendment is going to happen, and they're like, yes, everything's going to be so perfect and utopia is going to be achieved. And then the reality is going to set in of what this actually means for the people who are racist, that are sitting there going like, please pass, please, so we can be racist.
Maybe
it's not going to go over well. It's not going to be this utopia land where everyone's equal.
Maybe the Democrats think that now that they control cancel culture, white people will be too scared to actually implement any kind of discrimination, and they can do it against whoever they want. A lot of people tweeted when I posted this saying, now they can discriminate against white people, and I'm like, no. Discriminate against everybody. What are you talking about?
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
That's the point.
They're going to say no Asians. They're going to say no Latinos. They're going to say no to black people. It's people they're going to choose who they want, and you're going to give them a free excuse to keep people out for no reason.
Yeah, it's like the elites that have the power. This is basically giving them ultimate power to be able to just choose whoever they want to stay in the elite group, as it were. It's like, come on, it's not going to go over well. This is going to be bad.
It's going to, So I was talking when I was talking to my friend about it. I said, don't you think? She asked me like why all the media companies are saying it's about affirmative action, and I said maybe major corporations that are run predominantly by white people are tired of being accused of firing people based on race and don't want to be sued anymore.
Maybe that's it.
And now they can fire whoever they want, and no one will come back and accuse them of racism.
Yep.
And if they do, they'll say so. It's legal.
Yeah, I'm allowed to fire you. Bye.
Yeah, straight up. They don't think about it. They don't read the bills. They don't know. And it's really hard to have conversations with people like this, man, because it's like. When I'm talking to a lot of my friends online, the knowledge gap is so intense that it's almost impossible to actually explain things to them. So like, I'll talk to one of my friends about, say, the Tom Cotton op-ed.
Yeah.
He write an op-ed saying the Insurrection Act, we should come in and with a show of force to stop the riots. And if they don't know anything about that, all they know is like my one friend was like, oh, wasn't it like a really, really awful article? So like it was like everyone hated it. And I was like, no, that's not the case at all.
Did that actually happen?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so it's like, listen, if you're only hearing scuttlebutt because you don't read the news, your progressive friends are telling you they wrote a really racist, awful article, and so everyone got mad. If you actually pay attention to what's going on, the majority of registered voters in this country, the majority of people in this country, supported the National Guard coming in to stop the rioting. So this was a popular op-ed shut down by zealots, and the dude who worked for the New York Times had to resign over it. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of reasons why they want to repeal civil rights law, huh?
The fallout from this reminds me a little bit of what happened with AB 5. So they were like, we have this great intention. We're going to make it better for gig workers. we're going to put this bill into place.
For what workers?
Oh, gig workers.
Gig.
Oh, yeah,
Gig
okay.
economy people. And they put it into place, and they're like, oh, all the journalists are fired. All the freelance writers are fired. And that's something they'd not even thought about. So they don't think past stage 1 in California.
It's not even about like just the writers. There are a lot of people who did a lot of temporary work that have been fired straight up. Contracts terminated. California, man, is going to become a nightmare state.
Yeah.
It's
Become.
like, dude, you're right. It is a nightmare state.
Yeah, it's
I'm not going to
progressing.
go back, man. I'm not going to set foot in that place.
Yeah, it feels like they've been living in a bubble, and everyone in California is in their own little different bubble, and all the bubbles are popped at once, and we're gonna see. It hasn't happened yet, but there's still a few bubbles out there. But
California is an experiment in what happens when stupid people protest. There's a lot of smart
You're
people in
right.
California.
right,
But look at-
they're leaving.
It's not even so much necessarily about if they're stupid or not. You look
Yeah.
at celebrities who don't care.
Yeah,
They'll just say whatever they think is popular.
yeah, they're
I take
pandering
responsibility.
to yeah that
I
whole,
take
Oh
responsibility.
my god.
yeah
I take responsibility.
yeah in your $1 million mansion.
What does that mean?
Seriously.
You're gonna whip yourself? You see that video of the self-flagellation
I
they're doing?
can't
Gosh.
believe that.
Is
that
it real?
Is it real?
What is
Were they actually
Well,
hitting themselves?
I don't know if they were actually hitting themselves. But a bunch of people
Man.
apparently, this was Ian Miles Chong tweeted this out. I have no idea where this is from, but a bunch of white dudes showed up with self-flagellation marks. That's when you take the chain with like the blade and you whack yourself in the back with it in like penance to your religion. Dude, these people have
ridiculous.
gone full on zealot fanaticism, man.
Yep.
Their backs are covered in it. Maybe it's
Scabs.
cosmetic, but
It's
no,
gotta
but
be.
maybe it was makeup.
Maybe. I hope so.
But it could be. I think the most likely thing is makeup. I don't think they're actually going to whack themselves with blades or chains or whatever.
So they're trolling. Is that what you're trying to say?
Gotta be.
It was people pretending. It was black people pretending to be slave owners,
Okay.
holding a sign saying, "What if this was your history?"
Wow.
And then, funny enough, a bunch of Black Lives Matter people started yelling at him, like, "What are you doing? You people are crazy,
Yep.
dude." Weren't you telling me about? There's like a video from a dude from Black Lives Matter who said the far left took it over and they went nuts.
Yep.
What was that?
It was from like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
2.5 years ago or something. I don't exactly remember, but he was basically like, yeah, I couldn't be a part of that anymore. I didn't know where the finances were going. I was a big part of it for a long time. And every single time we tried to do anything, someone would be there to steer it in a direction that wasn't what I believed
Yep.
in. And it's like, that's what we're
Dude,
seeing.
The easiest way to explain it, I say, look at what Dave Chappelle said in his special. Had nothing to do with taxes or
Right.
communism or equity. He
Yeah.
was literally talking about people who are mad that people were dying and were getting violent because of it.
Right.
His view of what the problem is in a different reality to what these actual protesters are doing and what they're demanding. So there was recently a viral video where some woman from Black Lives Matter, I haven't fact checked this, so you got to fact check me on this one, where she said she was a trained Marxist.
yeah,
You saw that? Yeah. Do you know who she was?
I don't know who she was. She was just supposed to be a leader from
I
Black Lives
saw
Matter.
I saw a man that was a different leader from
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter saying the same thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, okay, do you guys know the history of people who followed Marxists?
Yeah, not,
Marx was a racist, wasn't he?
Like,
yeah, he.
yeah.
I think it's funny that they're like tearing down statues because they're racist. There's a comic, and it's a tearing down of Washington, but it's a wheel, and it switches to Marx.
Oh,
And I saw some. It's supposed to be critical
right.
of it, but then I saw someone post on Facebook, and they were like, "This is uncritically, like unironically awesome," and I was like, "Marx is like famously racist, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah,
didn't
he did
didn't
not like Jews.
Oh, really?
No, he actually really didn't like black people.
Yeah, he wrote like
Yeah,
a lot
he
about it,
used
didn't
the
he?
N-word quite a bit.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Canceled.
Yep, canceled.
Cancel Marx.
And yet they're
They
worshiping
love it.
him.
I know.
It's like,
Yeah.
what is going
Because
on?
it's all lies, bro.
Yeah.
That's why that dude was pissed. That's why you have these women from Black Lives Matter yelling at the dudes who have their backs all whipped up.
Right.
You know, man, I wonder if the big non-binary push for like Gen Z is just an excuse to give them some kind of identity so they can claim to be oppressed.
Good point.
Because like,
It's like you can
Dude.
be gay, you can like whoever you want. It like no one cares anymore.
Yeah.
Like you can like whoever you want.
It's like
I don't
that,
care. Like whatever.
it's like that Justin Roiland show. What is that? What is that show called?
I don't know what
The
you're
Aliens one.
The solar opposites.
Yes, Solar Opposites. where she's trying desperately to like.
She's trying. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love that because
She's-
she's trying to find someone who won't accept her because she's a woman. She's
But-
fighting for feminism, but there's no one like that. She tried to create an all boys book club, and all the boys showed up to tell her what a misogynist she was for not inviting girls. And she's like, "Wait, guys, I'm a
But
girl."
when she tried saying, "I need this for my class," they attacked her,
Right.
and called
They
her,
mobbed her.
and they chased after.
canceled
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
dude.
It was such a
Amazing.
good
I
example
loved
of
it.
like what these people do.
Yeah.
Like when you see a bunch of white people scream at Candace Owens and call her like a white supremacist, I'm like, dude, you guys are living in bizarro world.
There's so many that it does feel like there's a lot of them that they just don't want to. They don't want to realize reality isn't what they're actually living in.
These are
Like,
the conversations,
sorry.
man. Listen, like I've tried having conversations with people about this stuff, and the progressive, like leftist identitarian people have this view. It's like I compare it to like a digital versus an analog view of things. You know, analog, you have the wave. It's a gradient. It's not just one or zero.
Yeah.
But they view things as either like you're oppressed or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so they think you have the oppressed box and the not oppressed
It's
box.
very binary.
And so, right, absolutely.
Ironically
Binary.
enough.
It's
Zing.
binary
It's true.
oppression.
Nice,
Yeah,
Lydia.
it's true.
So when I say something like my family faced oppression, they go, but you look white enough, so not oppressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you just erased my entire history, family existence, and
Right.
like, and they're like,
and your
but
personal
not oppressed.
existence.
And honestly,
oppressed.
anyone can go through like situations where they are oppressed. It doesn't matter what your heritage is. It's all about the situation you're in. You know?
So actually, I had a really, really good argument against leftist identitarianism. First and foremost, is there a historical gap due to racism? 100%.
Definitely.
Institutional racism still exists in a lot of forms.
Slavery is still existing
Well,
in
but-
this world
but-
right now.
sure,
you know?
but
It's like,
in
but they're
America,
not
right?
even talking
Check it
about
out.
that. It's like that exists on this planet still.
In America, we had racist laws going back a long time. Even into blockbusting didn't end until the 80s, I believe.
Yeah.
So the way I try to explain systemic racism is you create a bunch of laws that are racist, and you put people in this really, negative position because of it. Once they're in that position, you then change the laws and say, okay, nothing's racist anymore. But now they're in a hole they can't climb out of
Right.
because you threw them in there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
However, I've never been a fan. Like I think I align my views with like Brett Weinstein on this one. I could be wrong. I don't want to misquote you, Brett. But he mentioned that the solutions are class-based, not race-based, and that's always been my
Yeah.
position.
Yeah, we've talked about that many times on the show.
But I had a really good argument against everything the left is trying to say with like reparations and focusing on Black lives. They need it more than anyone else. My first point is, how do you quantify oppression? Like, that's the
Question.
joke.
It's
Like,
a good question.
it's a Black Jewish paraplegic, differently abled in a wheelchair. Like, you really going to play the oppression Olympics, determine who gets what access to what? But I told my friend, I was like, what you got to understand about when you say it should be for Black people only, is that because of progressives, people like Bernie Sanders, we had Loving v. Virginia, a ruling from the Supreme Court in 1967 that said interracial marriage and cohabitation is legal now.
Yeah.
That means we have like 2 or 3 generations of race mixing in this country. And if you now want to start quantifying your laws based on Black, white, Mexican or whatever, you're basically rewinding the clock to a point where you're telling all the people who are mixed race that they're out.
Yeah.
They don't have the white privilege, but they also don't get any of the new privileges either.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So that's the best way I can say, like, here's why your plan makes no sense and doesn't work. You create a Black only space. How do you deal with your policies and your vision of a future, creating a generation of people now who you're planning to oppress? You can't do it. You got a new minority group that doesn't fall into your brackets of Asian or African American or
Right,
whatever.
Exactly.
It could be both. It could be none. It could be people can lie. So how about we do class based? Because you can't lie about how much money you have. Well, you can, but I guess. But they can. You have to prove income and stuff. Proving your racial oppression is impossible.
Agreed.
But I mean, the other big thing's obvious is like, are we going to give Will Smith's kids a grant? Like, here's money, Will Smith's kids who are millionaires.
Right.
No, that makes no sense. But let's deviate. Hard 180.
Let us deviate.
Not really a hard 180.
I was gonna say this isn't too far. It's pretty much the same kind of crazy.
The story.
Yeah.
Check this story out. Well, so yeah, we were talking about CHAZ being insane, and now we can go into how the media props all this stuff up.
So here, wait. So this is the original. This is what started it all right here.
Oh,
so this
yeah.
is a tweet from NPR. says right-wing extremists are turning cars into weapons, with reports of 50 vehicle ramming incidents since protests erupted nationwide in late May. Now, I'm just going to say, I've seen multiple videos of protesters. I say this in quotes because it's probably not the protesters. It's the rioters. It's the people that are taking advantage of a situation. They're pulling truckers out of their truck, beating them up.
Famous video from the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, but it's happening again, isn't
Right,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, it
Right.
is.
So
Absolutely.
it's like we're seeing this. Now, when you're in a car and people come up to you and start banging on your car, what do you think is going on in that person's head? These people are trying to kill me.
Yeah.
I need to get out of here. It's fight or flight. Done. Period. So I've seen this video. I don't know how many people have actually seen the video.
Well,
but it's crazy.
you're absolutely wrong, Adam.
Oh.
It's obvious that the
tell-
people in these cars.
tell me more, Tim.
Once they're surrounded by the protesters, all of a sudden the white supremacy in their hearts
Yes, they become
activates.
super racist.
Their hair turns gold and stands straight up. An energy aura appears around
Super
them,
racist.
and then they thrust their arm forward and slam the gas, yelling things in German.
Trying to hit as many people as possible.
Yes, that's what happens.
That's what the protesters think happens.
Right.
The inner white supremacist
The
was
way NPR
activated.
framed this, right-wing extreme, well, first off, how do you know it was a right-wing extremist? I don't know who that in that car was. Do they know who was in that car?
They do.
Oh,
This particular
Is it
video?
actually a right-wing extremist?
No.
It's not.
You know what the controversy with this picture is?
What?
Here, pull the picture back up.
It's up.
It's that these people surrounded her car and were attacking the woman
Yeah.
out of nowhere, pulling on her hair and beating her. And so then she swerved and slammed the gas. This guy jumped in front of the car and got knocked in the air. Shoes flew off.
Yep.
And they charged the protesters, not the woman in the car.
Oh, good.
They were
Bravo.
beating
Bravo.
her.
Yeah, I saw it. They were trying to pull her out of the car.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
It's like, what? I had someone in my family was not parked, waiting at a red light, and a man walked up and tried to open the door on the passenger side, just tried to open the door, and it wasn't open, and my family member freaked out and was like, I just took off. This was years ago, and she called the police. I guess it was a female, doesn't matter, but she called the police, and the police said, you did exactly what I would have said for you to do. Leave as soon as you can. You were right to have your cars locked. I mean, cars lock when you start driving nowadays, new cars, but it was locked, so no one was able to get in. But she took off, and the cop was like, good, that's exactly what you should have
Yeah, what
done.
are you
Leave the
supposed to do?
situation. I know it was a red light, but you're fine. And I was like, okay. So now I'm seeing this, and it's like, what do they expect? Someone to, okay, you're going to sit here and beat me now. I'll wait. Here, let me roll down my window. Yeah,
So they
pull my hair out.
They deleted this tweet. That's like the
Yeah,
big
they did.
controversy. They deleted it because the photo actually showed a victim being attacked by a mob. And then they were like, oops.
Oopsie.
They do bring up a lot of stories where there have been car attacks
Yeah.
by right-wing extremists, I guess. But I don't trust their definition of what a right-wing extremist is.
Right.
Apparently, if you post things in support of George Floyd and you talk about how your plan is to kill cops and then you do it, you're right-wing.
What?
Huh.
No, I'm
how
kidding.
does that
Not-
work?
not kidding.
How is that? So this is what I said last week. You go so far left of the screen, as soon as that happens, boop, you enter in onto the other
It's
like
side. So
Pac-Man.
they're the same. They're the same.
Well, it's because to the media, anything bad is right-wing.
Yeah.
So even though Antifa writes kill cops all over the place, threatens liberals, as soon as one of them goes and does it, they're right-wing now.
alt left.
Alt left. So I was once waiting to pick up a friend, and I'm sitting in my car. It was the old Honda. And then, so my doors are unlocked, so my friend's supposed to come and get in the car.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, somebody walks up, opens the car, and sits in the back seat. And I'm like, dude, what? What are you doing in my car? And he goes, oh, it's Uber. And I was like, no, it isn't. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And he gets out of my car. And I was like, what? And I'm
So
like,
awkward.
lock. Apparently, that happens a lot.
Now imagine if they had ill intent.
I know.
Yeah, you
Yep.
did.
Drive.
Yep.
There's suddenly a
I'd slam
gun
the
in the
gas.
situation.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to come in my car and point a gun at me, I'll be like, boom. And I'll be
My
like, I'm taking
territory
you with me,
now.
buddy.
Yeah,
It's
let's
going to
go.
be fun.
Oh man.
Dude, you got a gun in my head? What am I don't know what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Screw it. I got my seatbelt on. I'm
We're
hitting the
going
gas.
90.
We're going to
Yeah.
die anyway.
And there's nothing you can do to stop me, bro. Because if you use that bullet, you're going
dead.
down with
yeah,
me.
man.
Yep.
The best thing you can do is just jump out.
Man.
You gotta be stupid. That's what I never understood about like people getting held up in cars and stuff. But I'll tell you what, man, there was a story in Chicago where a firefighter pulled up to a red light and a guy walked up to his car and pointed a gun in the windshield, like or in the window. And so he slammed the gas, and right when he did, the guy went pop, pop, and killed him. So this is a story I heard when I was growing up, and I was told by my dad. If somebody walks up to your car and they got the gun trained on you, just get out of give them what they want. Like they might still shoot you, but is it worth your life?
Right.
Nah, you lose the car. We'll figure something out.
I mean, did you see that video of the dude washing his car in New York?
And then the dude walks up and just points a gun at his neck.
It's like, what's going on in the world?
That seemed like it was a targeted hit. But
I don't know
the reason I bring up
context of it.
the reason I bring up that story with Chicago is like where did this take place, right? Where these people surrounded this car, where a bunch of people surround you and are banging on things. If you're in Chicago and someone starts walking up to your car, no matter what part of Chicago you're in, you slam the gas.
Yeah, you get out of there.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
And this was in the Chicago area that I was the situation I just told earlier. Yeah.
That's why I was saying the other day.
Yep.
In Chicago, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to leave a full car length in front of you when
So you
stopping.
can do that. Yep.
So that if somebody tries to box you in or tries to carjack you, slam your gas before they get to your window.
Yeah, exactly.
You just take off.
Get out of there.
I remember there's a trick they do where someone will be driving up next to you and then they'll slam the gas, pull in front of you, and then slam the brakes to like so you rear end them.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you think like it's a scam, but they just rob you. They just come out with guns. They'll rob you. You can't go anywhere.
Right.
When you do throw it in reverse and try to get out, they got you, man. So someone will be behind you. They'll pull in front, slam their brakes on, and box you in, and then your stuff is their stuff. That's how they roll.
Yep.
Listen, you hear stories like that about someone walking up to your window and shooting you. What do you think these people are going to do when you surround their car, screaming and banging on stuff?
Well, not only hearing stories, we're in the age of social media. People are seeing it themselves. They're visually seeing people getting pulled out of their cars, beat up, because of the color of their skin. Now, I'm not talking to like white. Anyone, it feels like could be a target for this.
Bro.
Anybody. So
Let me one up you.
Oh, please. Please, come on, one up me, Tim.
Yeah.
That's what I live. That's what I'm on the show for.
I'm not saying I'm personally. I'm saying I'm adding
I'm
to your
just
story
messing
here. 2 people in their car were shot and killed in New York City.
I saw this.
Someone just walked up to their car, went pop, pop, and then their car was just stopped, and they were there just dead. Graphic video.
So sad.
Yeah, man. So why would
what is going
somebody
on?
think I'm just going to stand here while people are smashing my windows, pulling my hair, beating me, and
Right.
trying to pop my door?
Yeah.
You saw the video from the CHAZ where the guy, I think it was CHAZ, he's driving in his car. Was that CHAZ? Where the guy gets out of his car and then shoots through the window?
That was in Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah. So a guy is driving down this road and a bunch of protesters start running and screaming. So he slows down. Some dude runs up into the window and starts punching on him.
Oh, yes, this.
Yeah.
And then you see him fly back. He gets shot in the arm.
Yep.
Then the dude gets out and he's got
his gun.
a gun with extension. Someone said called extendo mags. I'm not a gun person.
I
So.
did see this.
Yeah, and this story went viral, and then people were claiming CNN whitened his skin or something. I don't know if that's true, but this dude was like, when you watch the video, you can see protesters ran up to his doors and trying to pop him open.
Yeah, exactly. What do you...
And then some dude reaches in and
Respect.
punches him, so he's like, gun time, baby.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah, you just assaulted me. I'm defending myself now.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't blame him at all.
And
I
this is
saw that
part of
video.
this narrative where they're like right-wing extremists. And so the left was saying, oh, a crazy guy just, tried ramming the protesters and shot somebody. And it's like, that's not true.
Yeah, there's videos. Sorry. Again, we live in the age of the internet, social media. We all see the truth. We're watching these videos.
No, dude.
We're
listen.
all locked in our homes. There's nothing for us to do out there but analyze what's going on in the world.
I just told you about my friends who don't know anything.
Right, that's true.
And the knowledge gap is insane.
Yo,
so try
it's
having a
true.
conversation about Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta, where I'm like, so did you see what happened? I did. Right. So then it's clear-cut case of self-defense. What do you mean? The guy was sleeping.
You didn't see it.
No. He took a weapon, pointed at the cop, and pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
And within like a third of a second, the cop responded with 3 shots. 1, 2, 3. Went down, and the cop tried to resuscitate him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't die for sleeping in a Wendy's. I'm like,
Did you not hear what I just
okay,
said?
let's try this again.
Slowly. Small
He
words.
was driving.
It doesn't fit their narrative,
Drunk.
Tim. So they block it out.
Yep.
It's that emotional defense trigger.
Right.
Whoa, I need to defend my stance. I'll
And then-
kill for my stance.
Yeah.
And then I get accused. They're like, you just want to win. You're not even actually trying to have a conversation. I'm like,
Oh my
what are you talking about?
They're talking to the mirror now.
They are.
Seriously.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
Self-protection.
It's like it's religious, man.
Yeah, you're right.
The
Zealot.
insane beliefs. Dude, seeing the DA in Atlanta claim the guy was kicking him when he was down.
Yeah, that's
Such
crazy.
an obvious lie.
And now we're finding out he's dirty. He's a dirty
Oh,
DA.
dude, we
dirty.
knew he was
It's like,
dirty.
come
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Come on, dude.
We're in trouble, man. So people are saying, like, Trump's culture war campaign is a bad idea.
Okay.
I recorded a segment out the other day.
Okay.
Kyle Kalinske was like, it's the worst possible strategy. And I'm like, I disagree. I certainly don't think it's the worst possible strategy. I mean, we just had a bunch of cities burned down.
Yeah.
Gun sales are through the roof. People are certainly scared about George Washington and Jefferson being torn down.
Yep.
What do you think? And then the response I get is the polls are too good for Biden. Biden's going to win. And I'm like, what does that have to do with whether or not culture war is a good strategy? Why are you telling me about polls? I didn't say Trump was going to win.
cares? Yeah.
I said the culture war might be a good strategy for him.
Yeah.
But they're hubris.
But then they get triggered though. It's that same thing I was talking
Defensive,
about. I
yeah.
need
Yep.
I need to explain to you why my position's correct. And it's like we weren't even talking about that.
It's not about their position. It's about I'm right even if I change the subject.
yeah.
So if you say that Donald Trump's campaign strategy of embracing the culture war is a bad idea, and I said I disagree. The riots have, like, in one anecdote, a friend of mine was like anti-Trump, and then after the riots, now they're pro-Trump, and then you respond with, "That's absurd. Biden is leading in the polls by double digits, blah blah blah," and I'm like,
What we weren't talking about.
we weren't talking
that.
about
That's
polls
political.
or the election.
Right.
We were,
I was
we're
talking about
talking about
cultural.
whether cultural issues will benefit Trump in some way, not whether or not he's going to win because of the polls.
Yep.
Emotionally triggered.
Instead of because they need to just counter me because I must be wrong because they're contrarian.
Yep.
Instead of addressing what I said, they change the subject.
Yep.
No, but Trump will lose. Well, I didn't say Trump was going to win. What are you talking about, man? What is this? That's what it's like dealing with these people.
Yep.
So when you tell them that like the NYPD might have a reason for actually pulling out his gun in that video, right? They're like, what reason could he possibly have when that cop pulled out his gun on those protesters? Someone ran up behind his supervisor and cracked him over the head with a baton.
No, a brick.
It was a brick.
It was a brick. So his superior officer that was standing right next to him got attacked, got hit with a brick. That's a deadly weapon. Assault, attempted murder. That could have
Yep.
killed him. So you're going to be upset because the cop pulled a
There's-
gun and said, everyone get away. He didn't shoot. They all dispersed. They all ran away. And it's like,
Right.
Finger off the trigger.
Yeah, he brandished his weapon.
It was all he needed to do.
Exactly.
Somebody.
That's all it was.
Now the cop was wearing a helmet, but that could still be a kill shot.
Yeah, you
Oh,
could
for
still hit
sure.
him in the neck.
So you're surrounded by people bashing bricks
Yes.
over your boss's head.
Right.
So the reason I bring this up is just because, you'll hear like, this is insane. The cops are drawing their weapons. There's no reason for this. You know why? Because they cut out of the video
Of course.
what happened first.
Right. All right.
So all you see is a cop get angry and draw his weapon and start waving it around.
Yeah, that's the first video I saw, and I was like, okay, well,
Wait a
what's this
second.
about?
Yup.
And then, of course, the next day, they're like, by the way, here's the whole story. And
Yup.
It's like, oh, okay. So
Yep.
it makes
what
more
they do.
sense
That's how
now.
this works.
And then you
Trust
start to
me,
realize.
Trust me, I know. I've been, like, you talk about these people that are just blindly believe it. It's like, it's not that I blindly believed it, but I was clueless. When I
weren't
got
watching
here,
the news?
I wasn't paying attention to the mainstream media. I mean, I still kind of don't pay attention to the mainstream media, but I see what they're doing, though, at least, so I'm paying attention to what's happening in the world. Most people don't. Most people live in their little bubble, in their little small town,
Safe,
whatever,
comfortable.
city. It doesn't matter where you are. Everyone creates a little comfortable life bubble for themselves. And a lot of times, anything outside of that bubble just is irrelevant.
But I'm talking about, you're right. But I'm also talking about these people who are activists.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like-
that's the worst part of it, though.
They're like, we must have these laws. And it's like, do you know why? No.
Yep.
So look, man,
Those people are reeing the loudest.
They are indeed.
I've had conversations with people, and some of my lefty friends saying things like, there's no reason anyone should ever have a gun. And this is years ago, mind you.
Okay.
Like, it was only 5 or 6 months ago, I said straight up, I do not want any guns in my house. I'm not hardcore anti-gun 6 months ago. I'm just like, not for me. Don't want to deal with it. Where are we today? I just bought a ton of guns, man. A ton.
Oh, okay.
guy-
I didn't know if you were going to talk about this.
Oh yeah, we're talking about
Well,
it. I guess.
I'm going back to the progressive argument in a second, but I'm just mentioning, like, I went to the
You're
gun.
strapped.
I went to the gun store,
We are
and the guy at the shop
strapped.
was like, every time I was like, I'll take that. And that he was like, I'm getting jealous, man.
and then he said, "Here's your complimentary roof Korean badge."
Dude, they have Japanese.
You were like, "Yep, boop.
Boop.
It's
Yep.
official now."
There it goes.
They have like World War II captured
Wow.
equipment and stuff. It's
That's-
crazy.
So
That's pretty
cool.
cool.
But he'd be like, "Here's one box of ammo." I'd be like, double it. And he'd be like,
Let me get
okay. And I'm like, this isn't
$4.
expensive, man. It was like $10. Come on, I'm not. It's like I'm breaking the bank.
Should stock
But-
up on ammo, man. That's
That's
what they
right.
all them say.
After
Everyone's saying
the
it.
apocalypse, bullets are cash money, bro.
That's currency in the
But
future.
anyway, the reason I brought this up was not to be like, look at all my guns. No. It's because this was back around the time we lived in Miami, and we had that situation where the dude jumped in the yard, and all we had was the 22. It was like a Remington 22 air compression rifle.
the pump.
It was a break barrel with.
I mean, that thing was serious. It would hurt somebody.
That was-
it would have to be a perfect shot to take them out.
to the eye.
But like if I don't know who it was, because we started flashing lights back there, and they never came towards the house. But you're right.
So
we don't know, man.
The full context
Go ahead,
was that we lived on a kind of like a farm in the Redlands of Miami. We'd heard stories about murders. Somebody jumped onto our property and was snooping around with the flashlight. So I took the 22 and I dry fired in the air because that's a bang.
Yeah.
And then they took off.
Yep.
They were gone. So, that's another thing that the guy at the gun store told me is like, typically when you want home defense, a nice pump action shotgun, all you need is that good sound. And then they're gone.
Yeah. Oh no.
That was actually interesting because, the conversation we were having was, is a semi-auto shotgun worth it because you don't get the pump, which scares them off.
Right.
If you're talking about home defense, it might not be as practical, but the sound might be more practical. Anyway, I didn't bring it up to talk about guns. The conversation was, I have progressive friends who think there's no purpose for guns at all. Like,
have they heard of hunting?
No. Like outside of that.
Oh, okay.
They understand like, oh, but hunting I guess is fine, but can't you have your guns safely stored near like where you go hunting or something, or like a special area? It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
And so it's like they really do think the only reason anyone buys a gun is because they're laughing about how they want to murder people. Like, I just can't wait to kill somebody.
Wow.
No.
Do they?
Even like a lot of these people don't understand when like after a cop shoots somebody for any reason, they have like, I'm not sure if they all do this, but a lot of them go to like psychotherapy.
Yeah.
Like, you just shot somebody who died.
Yeah,
They probably cried for like 12 hours.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that
It
probably
changes you,
never
I'm
leaves
sure
you.
it does.
It's a line you can't come back from.
Right, exactly.
I'm not saying it destroys your life,
It can
but you
mess
will
up.
always, especially like war stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Like, to think that in any like they're crazy people, man. But I'll tell you what, the people who like going around murdering are like a fraction of the global population, and they're insane.
Yeah.
It actually is a funny thought considering we're talking about war. I remember someone, I was talking to someone a long time ago, Lefty, about getting rid of the prison system.
Okay.
And when I was like, yeah, but like, what do you do with murderers? And they were like, send them to the Middle East.
Are you serious?
Yeah, put them in the army. They want to kill people. And I'm like, are you nuts? Like, dude.
Yeah.
They have crazy laws about the rules of engagement. And like,
And
but maybe that's the place where they need to be, where they'll flourish. And I'm like,
and a lot of times these murderers, they're picking people that are weak. They're not. It's a
Yeah.
power. It's a trip thing that they deal with too. It's not like
This is true.
They don't want to fight against someone that's equal, that has a gun, that's fighting them. No, they want to go murder people.
they'll go kill civilians.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
like what?
seriously.
That's
You know what's crazy
a
is,
silly argument.
I know. I was like, look, you can't get rid of prisons, man. And I'm like, I'm all for prison reform. I don't like private prisons.
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, like there are good arguments for private prisons, but they tend to just, in my opinion, go in a direction that's bad, where you create a pipeline. Like, there are judges who have sold kids to these private juvenile centers,
It's messed up.
taking kickbacks.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's messed up.
So there's also problems with government prisons.
Yeah, we got to get rid of. We got to
Inefficiency,
reform
collapse.
a lot. There's a lot in our government that needs to be reformed. 100% agreed. And
But they're talking about-
prisons, absolutely.
They want to destroy everything. They want to burn it all down.
Yeah, see,
From the ashes of the
thing is
old, we
about
will build a new.
society. It's like we have food in our fridges at our stores.
Dude.
You want to burn a society down, you're not going to eat anymore.
Let's talk about
What are you
privilege
gonna
real quick.
eat?
Let's talk about privilege.
Yeah, you want to talk about
I just
privilege?
ordered a vegan bacon cheeseburger
How good was
with
that?
sweet potato fries.
How good was that,
It
huh?
was good.
I know, I had it yesterday.
So there's a restaurant near us that has like a full vegan menu.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
uh,
Can I tell it?
yeah, dude.
So I found this place. just had to say
Just
that.
as an
No.
aside.
So seriously, this place is amazing. It's a diner. I love diners. Diner food's the best. Going to have a diner, and I found this place is really nearby. The head chef is vegan. No qualms about cooking anything for anyone else. Cool, but made a huge vegan menu. Makes all this like vegan meat by himself there, and it is incredible.
It's really, really good.
It's so good.
But this is like, to see these people in the CHAZ
Yep.
that are so insanely clueless. You want to talk about privilege.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this. I respect the SJWs when they complain about privilege. What I don't respect is that the umbrella of their perspective of privilege goes too far. So when they come out and talk about white privilege, if they just held up a mirror, I'd be like, you are correct.
Indeed.
That you are talking about yourself, who has the privilege of not reading news, not learning from history, going to an autonomous zone and then asking for vegan food. It's like, listen, man, I'll tell you what.
Oh, that had me cracking up. I got to be honest.
Seriously.
If you want to be
funny.
If you
Peak
want to
privilege, yo.
Yeah. Dude.
You are privileged if you're vegan.
We could have donations, but we want vegan food. Like, we want you to go to the specialty aisle at the local Whole Foods to get the good stuff.
It's like, no, if you want to go autonomous and you don't want to live in society, you got to go shoot your own animals,
eat cockroaches,
eat meat,
eat bugs.
If you can't handle it,
Dude,
you shouldn't be autonomous then.
This is the other privilege. Now, look, a lot of them are vegan, all right?
Sure.
I can respect that. Okay, then great. Lick the algae. I don't know what vegan food you're going to be growing in the city made of concrete.
With 200 other people in a small little segregated garden, so you're only going to get from the whatever race you are garden, I guess.
This is the peak privilege of this country, and so I am trying to tie this into like what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
These people who think you never need a gun,
right?
The people who think that everything is hand holding Skittles and rainbows and candy canes.
They are living in their comfortable little bubble that society has built, that we have all been living in, comfortable being able to poop in a toilet. Let that poop get flushed away. Where does it go?
Water.
No one
Do you even have
knows.
any idea
Don't
what
even
happens
know.
to the poop?
Yep.
Probably not.
That is peak privilege right there.
Peak privilege, yo.
No. It's not about the fact that your poop gets carried away. It's that you don't even think about it.
You don't even think about it.
Did you see that Family? You see that Family Guy episode where they were interdimensionally traveling?
No.
So Stewie Stewie shows up to like a farm festival or something, and he has the winning pig.
Okay.
But the pig has fists and is super ripped, and he goes oink oink.
His name is CHAZ.
And then he punches Brian, and Brian's like, "Where did this thing come from?" And Stewie says he went to another dimension. He's showing Brian around, and they go to this futuristic dimension where apparently the Dark Ages never happened, so it's like very futuristic.
Okay.
And Brian's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. What do I do? And Stewie says, one poop removal. And then Brian stops and goes, "Wow, it's just gone."
Like
it's out of his body, just like gone.
Wow, all right.
That's
Funny
amazing.
joke.
What a future.
Yeah, but hold on. But what a future. Think about it. All of these people have grown up in a society where everything was given to them, and they don't even have to consider where their poop goes.
That's true.
I know it's funny to mention poop.
Do you
like,
think
it's
that's
a very
what
silly
the
segment?
seashells did?
The seashell. Oh, in Judge Dredd.
Oh,
No,
maybe.
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Demolition Man. That movie was
The
awesome.
seashells.
He doesn't even know how to use the seashells.
You just rub the first one, think about one or two, then you go either the one or the two, and it makes it go away.
Is that what they said?
No, I'm just making it
I'm
up.
making it up. We don't know.
But look. The toilet thing is funny, right?
Yeah.
But
it's true.
hold on.
I wasn't trying to be funny.
I know. But break this down. Check it out. If you live in the middle of nowhere, this is why I think the rural areas tend to be very conservative. You might have to actually dig an outhouse or work on a septic tank.
Yep.
That's a good
and
point.
understand, like, so if you have a septic tank, for the most part, they're very low maintenance.
Right. I mean,
But you got to remind people, like, hey, you can't flush whatever you want.
There's a lot of stuff you can't flush.
That's a good point.
You live in the city. What do? They flick their cigarettes in it.
They
Yeah.
flush whatever.
Whatever. The paper
Doesn't
towels.
matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Food.
Yep.
You know, just whatever. Just like, got to get rid of it. And they have no idea where it goes.
None.
Yep. They don't think about it.
I think that privilege is not having to think about it. Like someone who doesn't have to think about ever using a gun, that is peak privilege to live in a country where you don't ever have to think about defending yourself.
Who is that guy? I keep forgetting his name, where he said, saying you can just call the police is
like asking the maid to take it out or
well,
take care of it.
it's a tower so ivory you can't look at it in direct sunlight.
His name was Caleb something. Caleb
Yeah.
Hull? Was that it? I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's the gun. It's a Second Amendment equivalent of saying just have the maid do it.
Oh my
For
gosh.
real.
It's true.
If-
yeah.
Especially if you live in like.
True.
But think about it from the perspective of even Black Lives Matter, where they say they're scared to call cops.
Yep.
Well, it's another good point. If you don't think you can rely on the police to protect you because of problems in your community and corruption, well, then you need to be able to defend yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is actually really interesting too, because I did an interview with a woman in Chicago who was pro 2A,
Okay.
wanted gun accountability.
Yes.
She said the problem was that a lot of these young guys are getting illegal guns. They can't be traced, can't be tracked, and then they're selling them and trading them off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the kids think they can get away with this stuff.
Right.
And she's like, I'm armed. She's like, I got my legal gun and it's legal. And we need to figure out how we can get, the people in this, in the city to legally protect themselves and stop the flow of the illegal guns that can't be traced. And that was interesting because this was a woman in the black community, who was a black woman arguing in favor of the Second Amendment and against Chicago gun violence. And her solution was actually an armed and polite society, which I found interesting because I was like, I gotta admit, I'm not sure if that's,
Yeah,
you know,
you said that last week. It's like if everyone's armed, it's like.
well, that's not.
We were not saying like you said it per se,
Right,
but like we were
about
talking about it, and you're like, well,
so
the fence sitting equivalent, however you say it.
the position that I had basically was, I'm not convinced that these kids will stop killing each other over stupid things just because the guns are legal.
Right.
And she humbly disagreed as someone who lived there, saying that one of the reasons they feel so brazen is that they get them on the fly, on the spot, super easy, and they think they can't be tracked. So they're like, now I can get away with it, and then you get rid of it.
Yeah.
And if we got rid of that flow, because one of the problems, as it was explained to me, is that Indiana has more lax than Chicago, and Chicago and Indiana, like Chicago, actually the metro area overlaps into Indiana.
Right, it does.
So people drive in,
Southside.
buy a ton of easy guns, bring them right back.
Drive right back.
Then these kids take them illegally.
It's not like there's borders or anything.
So I'm not entirely convinced of that argument, right? But I thought it was interesting that the solution she proposed, as someone who actually lived there, was more like legal guns for people to protect themselves, so we can depend on ourselves. But yeah, man, Ocasio-Cortez was asked about police reform, and she was asked what she thinks it would look like, and she said the suburbs. It's like, you're literally saying have the maid do it. You're literally saying we should have the nice, well-funded, polite.
That was her answer?
Yeah.
The suburbs?
It would look like the suburbs.
What would your police reform look like? The suburbs.
That's what she said.
That's not an answer.
No, she's saying have the maid do it.
That's the most cop-out answer I've ever heard.
Yep.
Man, I'll tell you what. If you live in Chicago, the scary thing is you probably need a gun there more than most other places.
I believe
Yeah.
it. I believe
Most
it.
places.
Chicago, I mean, 100 people got shot over the weekend.
104
104 people
died.
got shot. Not killed, but shot.
and 14 died.
14 died.
The week before, I think it was like 26 died.
It's insane.
So you might want to be able to defend your home
Yeah.
from this
And
kind of
maybe
violence.
maybe have the cops.
Yeah,
Maybe?
no, maybe,
You think
yeah.
they made a difference?
Right.
I think they make a
I
difference.
think so.
I'm 100% sure they make a difference.
What's the saying? When seconds matter, the police are minutes away.
Yep.
Yeah, and everyone's like, well, why aren't they there before the situation happens? It's like
Because they can't tell. They're
What?
not-
Omniscient?
pre-crime.
Yes.
pre-crime
Minority Report.
doesn't exist. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry,
Hold on.
people.
Hold on. I got it.
Sorry, now.
All we got to do
My
is find some precogs,
yeah, great.
build the facility, and then we can arrest people who haven't yet committed crimes because they might
Cool.
Perfect. Yes.
pre-crime.
And then we could create a matrix system for all the pre-criminals
Yeah.
and throw them in there.
I think that was the only problem. Like, if you could intervene and stop the crime from happening, it won't happen.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
That was a good movie, though.
It was a good
I
movie.
like that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is good.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, we got into the gun stuff. But
Yeah, it's
so
true.
look, man, it was this is a true story. Like 5 or 6 months ago, I straight up was having a conversation and I said, I do not want any guns in my house.
Yep.
And we had nothing.
Yep.
Nothing.
And then COVID happened.
And then I was like,
and you were preparing for a possible apocalypse. And then the riots started.
when
Yeah.
when COVID happened and I saw people were going nuts to buy guns, I started researching like what I had to do. Actually, it's actually earlier than this. It was September when someone tried breaking in. I immediately was like, okay, I should go figure out what I need to do.
Isn't that what the police officer said to you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he said if it were me, I answered the door with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And then
So-
he's like, and I'm like, I hear what you're
I
saying.
thought it was like
Yeah.
August.
Well, yeah, it was probably August, something
Yeah.
like that.
I'll tell you what, though. It's good advice.
But then,
Great
you know what?
advice.
I think I got lulled into a false sense of security. Things calmed down. I was like, I think we're okay. We're fine.
And that is privilege right there.
it is.
That's true.
People forget how comfortable we are as Americans.
Our poop just goes right away.
That's
Gone.
true. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't even think twice.
We could drive to the store and buy practically anything we want.
Where does it go?
Pretty much,
Somebody must deal
Anything
with
we
it, right?
want, we
Someone
can buy.
must, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Well, that was the point about the vegan food,
Right.
right? I was like, so we're gonna get dinner, and I was like, if I can, why not? You know, I've tried some of their stuff before. It was pretty good. I
Yep.
think I'll try like it's wow.
The burger?
It was great.
So
It was
good.
really well made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Right. So good.
I don't eat
the
beef.
onion rings? My goodness.
I don't eat beef as it is. I typically just do chicken and fish for the most part.
Yeah.
And so I like beef makes me sick. It always has
Yeah.
for the most part. I do love beef tartare, but so I'm like, I'll get the burger, you
Yeah.
know, and with the vegan bacon or whatever, and I can just snap my fingers, and in 20 minutes there was this like, it's a privilege beyond recognition to be able to
Absolutely.
have something so specific, you know, to cater to your needs.
Yep.
Whereas in a lot of parts of the world, they just eat crickets.
That's
For
true.
real. It's like, wow, I'll take what I can
They
get. And
eat
they
whatever they
lift
can.
a rock
They
up,
eat
and they're just like,
grubs.
Yeah.
yep,
Whatever. Doesn't
food's
matter.
food, man.
They actually
But-
forage still. hunter-gatherers.
This is the big problem I think we have with this generation, the CHAZ people, right?
Yeah.
The CHAZ people is what happens when you it's like a privileged pimple and you pop it and they're the gunk that sprays out.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why would
That's
you
a
say
disgusting
this?
image.
It's supposed to be. I was trying to think of something really gross.
That worked.
Nailed it, Tim.
So it's just like, it's like infection and pus and
Yeah.
it's these people who
Wait. So your analogy is the immune system, right?
it's ejecting them.
Yeah. So pus is just a collection of white blood
God.
cells. Yeah. I think that we should talk about
yeah,
this.
surrounding
Let's explore
it's
this.
surrounding the infection.
Yeah.
and-
It's trying
and
to attack
yeah,
the.
bring it and push it out
Right.
of the body,
Exactly.
right?
That's why there's a boil.
Could you imagine if the
Right.
cops slowly started moving the CHAZ one block every day until they got to the water and just shoved them all in?
I love this mental image.
And Chaz set sail
Flush
into
away.
the sunset.
They put them onto like little rafts and then kick the rafts off and then the rafts just drift away.
Go be autonomous somewhere
then-
else.
And then like 3 months later, they're in like Alaska and they're just like shivering on these like wooden pallets just floating in the ocean.
Or they create an island, or they can go to Plastic Island and just like strap it all together and make a new country out there.
That could work.
So
See it.
there's a bunch of factors in CHAZ
Okay.
that prove the privilege. One, I think the vegan tweet may have been fake. Like the woman where she was asking
Well,
for
no,
vegan.
Yeah.
that wasn't from Chaz. That was from Portland.
Oh, that woman?
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Yes.
That woman was in CHAZ.
No.
She wasn't.
No, it was from the Portland branch of an autonomous attempt.
Interesting.
Oh.
It wasn't. It didn't go full blown like Chaz did.
Yeah.
But it was kind of when it was all happening, and that was them in Portland. So it's funny how it got wrapped into the whole Chaz thing because it's not the same.
Privilege is showing up to someone else's home, surrounding it with guns, and thinking you own the place. And what's really funny is you want to talk about white privilege and colonizers and all that stuff. It's like, okay, yeah.
That's literally what you're doing right now.
European colonists came to this country and started taking stuff. And guess what? We frown upon the bad things they did.
Yeah.
We don't look back on Christopher Columbus and the story about the Native Americans and the slave girls and go, that's the best part of Christopher Columbus. We go, no,
yeah.
that was the worst part.
Yeah, I've been condemning Christopher Columbus Day for a long time, and it's now Indigenous Peoples Day, and I love it. I was like, yeah.
I think you have bad people, you have winners and losers.
Right.
And you look at someone like Columbus and the things that he's accused of doing. And here's the big challenge. How much of what we know is based on fact or based on a revision of history by activists who are trying to justify their extremism?
Right.
This is what the really scary thing to me is. What I was told about Christopher Columbus is marginally different from what the activists claim about him.
Okay.
And it's because my schools did mention, the enslavement. He would bring back some of the indigenous and stuff. But the way the leftist describes it is that he's like literally Hitler. Now, I wonder, are they saying that because they need propaganda to justify the erasing of our culture and our history to, for their revolution and all that stuff? Think about that. Think about everything else they've claimed and how much of, you can think about the most extreme things they've said, like, Jefferson is an evil slave owner.
Yeah.
Then you actually look at Jefferson's history, and while he was a product of the time, he actually did advocate for ending slavery, although he still had slaves, for sure. He was not a perfect person.
Yeah.
A lot of people, no one was back then. But he was typically a good guy who believed in freedom and created the framework for a great country that has freedom, that freed everybody for the most part.
Yeah, it's like you're erasing the history that led us here.
Right.
But think about the lies they've said, right?
Yeah.
The things they try to make up. They leave the Lenin statue up in Seattle and tear down everything else.
Yeah.
That makes me go far back and think how much of everything else was a lie. Were these people they claim were really bad, really, really that bad? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's one of the things I think they're doing is trying to muddy and fog history with overt propaganda and stuff like that. And it makes it difficult to know what's real. And I think that's part of the plan.
Yep.
If no one can tell what's real, then you have a chance to come in and manipulate them. That's what they're doing. Hence, going back to what started this conversation, the people I know who have no idea what happened with Rayshard Brooks, who think he was just sleeping in his car, minding his own business. They walked up and said, "Ha ha, bang bang," not realizing that he got out, gave a guy a concussion, fought him off, stole a taser, fired at him, and then got shot in self-defense. So how do you deal with these people? And how do you change the stuff? Man, talk about privilege. But I do want to go back real quick to the poop analogy.
Yes.
Oh, please.
But it actually
Nice analogies tonight.
it's so here's the analogy I've used in the past. These people in New York, for instance, these progressives,
Okay.
they woke up one day in their life and there was a giant bridge. The Manhattan Bridge.
Yep.
The Williamsburg Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge. The Queensboro Bridge. Man, what else is there?
The Washington Bridge.
Can they walk across that?
Yep.
Yep. All these bridges just there. And I'm thinking about like, what was life like back in the 1800s when you were in New York and you were like, my friend lives in Brooklyn. I see him maybe once every other month. Because you got to literally get in a boat and cross.
Right.
I'm sure there were ferry services.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something so you, like now you just walk. So these people grow up and all of the hard work and labor of the pioneers who created this privileged world is forgotten on them. They think they're standing on solid ground and they're standing on the shoulders of thousands of giants. They don't realize how much energy, labor, work went into making all of those bridges that allowed them to just walk right over to Williamsburg and get there.
Or skate.
And get that nice little, almond milk vegan frap with, little foam and stevia extract.
Yep.
All the really
Privilege.
fancy, total privilege.
Yep.
They're trying to burn it all down.
But that's the toilet thing too. It's like, you when you live in the middle of nowhere, when you go camping, they tell you what you have to do to deal with your waste. Have any of these people ever thought about what that means?
Definitely not.
Or where their food comes from?
None of them have.
They don't. That's why when they try
The
setting up a
food
farm,
comes from the store, Tim.
Yeah.
I know.
It comes from the store. I
Dude,
go and buy it.
You're not joking. You think you're joking.
No. I'm jokingly serious.
Yes.
You know they've
that a
actually
thing?
said that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I know.
Protesters have literally said, "Well, just get food from the store." I'm not talking. I'm not.
Wait, I'm sorry. I did not know that they actually have said that. Wow.
I can't remember exactly when this was, but there was a viral tweet where someone was asking like,
Come on.
if you shut down like the roads and the farms where people get their food, the response was like, we'll get it from the store. Like, where do you think the store gets the food from? What do you mean?
What do you mean? It's
Where does-
restocked every week. Duh.
Where does the food come from? The food from the stores. And you're like, no, the store sells the food.
Right.
Gets it from somewhere else. Oh, I don't know. They don't make it. I'm not exaggerating.
They think all the food in the stores is
This
made
is
at
probably
the
one dumb
location.
person.
Shows on the
This is probably
shelves.
one dumb person.
Okay, well that one person is crazy.
Well, we had a conversation
man.
with Yang supporters who were talking about milk. We're like, where does the milk come from? You miss everything. You cut everything out of the middle and you still get milk. They're like, we're still getting milk. You still have milk.
Oh,
All
that's
you have to
right.
do is give the. What were they saying? I don't
We were
remember.
talking about like when the economy shut down. I said, what you don't understand is that it's like, imagine you have this big train and then all of a sudden the front just stops.
Okay.
All those train carts can't just stop either. So they all start crashing into each other, piling up and flipping off the tracks and, crashing everywhere. And so I made a point about how if the farms can't produce milk, the stores don't have milk.
Yeah, so simple, right?
And they were like, dude, you're so dumb. Oh my God. They can just send the milk
Tim.
back to the stores.
What?
Okay. What they didn't understand, they thought that
man.
like there's a cow and the farmer walks up and goes with a fresh empty gallon that's got, farmer's milk on it, sticks it under the cow and goes squirt, 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 caps it, and then walks to the store and goes, here's 1 gallon of milk to sell to your customers.
It's like, no.
The dairy farmers
they
have
they
gigantic
have
tanks.
to bleach out all the pus.
Oh God, dude. Yeah.
It's the truth.
It's gross.
Have you ever seen milk from?
Organic, good farm stuff is the only stuff I would drink. Although
It's still gone through.
no,
a process.
that stuff's way better. I know because I visited the farms that produce them.
It's still gross.
There's a lot of really, really bad farms, but the organic stuff, I've been to those farms and I've watched the cows. It's a lot better. But anyway, the point is, the dairy farms have big metal tanks full of milk.
Mm-hmm.
It's unprocessed raw. They send it for processing and packaging to a different company.
Yep.
Who then sends it to warehouse distributors who ship it off in trucks to stores.
Yep.
If you break the economy, then the dairy farmer has no plastic, processing plant to send it to.
Yep.
Because the economy is just shut down.
And not only that, that's one product.
Yep.
We've just talked about one
Just
cog
one
in the
thing.
wheel of
Yep.
society that puts food in the store to your plate. These
And
people
then-
have no idea. They don't understand. They are
Dude.
LARPing. They are playing a video game because in video games everything magically appears in your backpack. Everything
Yep.
you eat some food, you go buy more food with the NPC dealer, whatever. It's just like
Think about Fallout.
I have no idea.
You can carry 300 pounds, but 301, and then you slow down.
and
Oh.
then you're
Then-
encumbered.
Then you're encumbered. So these people are like they live in this fantasy world.
Yep.
Like the video from CHAZ where the medic's trying to get in, or I'm sorry, the medics refuse to come in, is the perfect example.
It's true.
You're like, we don't want any police in here, and then the medics are like, we're not
Why
coming
won't
in.
the
Like,
medics
why won't
come
they
in?
come in? Or the
You're
videos.
letting this guy bleed out.
You see the video where they throw garbage at a guy's car, and then he jumps out with the blades on his wrists.
I saw that.
He's got like 4 blades, like a
So
weird claw.
weird.
I bet he made that himself.
and
That's pretty
I was
cool.
impressed.
And they yell, "Call the cops! Call the police! Call the police!" And he's like, "Ugh, I'm gonna get you." Listen, man.
That's pretty
in
funny.
all of these videos, where like the guy drives up into the protest and he shoots somebody, they go, "Call the cops, man! Call the cops!" It's like, bro, the cops are there.
Yeah.
You're protesting them.
You're telling
Remember
everyone
why
to
you're
defund
here?
them.
Yeah.
Get rid of, abolish them completely. What?
These people are plum nuts.
Plum
Plum
nuts.
nuts.
Plum
That
nuts.
sounds
Have
good.
you heard that before, Lydia?
Plum nuts?
I've
They
never
are
heard
plum
that.
Yeah.
nuts.
Plum
Plum
nuts.
crazy.
Plum
nuts.
crazy.
Nuts
Plum
is
nuts.
a little different. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wonder where these phrases come from.
Plum nuts.
We should get an etymologist to talk about
yeah,
this stuff.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Let's do this. Let's
Fun.
jump to this conspiracy theory.
All right, let's do it.
Sure.
This is
Back
a,
like the good old days, Tim. Remember
This
those
is,
Yes.
those days? This is what we used to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, good days.
Timpo Wars.
You
So
ready?
a lot of people
Wait,
have been hitting me up for this.
Wait.
You ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, throughout the night over the past 2 weeks, explosions have rocked major cities in the United States, leaving residents scared, terrified that the CIA has been leaving caches of explosive devices for ruffian children to detonate.
Dun,
Now,
dun,
why?
dun.
Is that what they're saying?
That's what they're
Yeah,
saying.
actually, yes, that's what they're saying.
I did a tweet earlier. I was just like, I'm seeing too much of this. Like, who's hearing this? Is this going on? Over 200 responses, and all of them are just like, yeah, fireworks from the city late into the night. And I'm like, doesn't that always usually happen near the end of June anyway?
Yeah.
No.
leading up to July 4th.
No. This is weird.
Oh, okay.
But I think
It
I know.
is weird.
I think I know what's going on.
I
Check
think
this
yeah,
out.
I
Check
think
this
you're
graph,
right. I
right?
think you're right.
For those that are familiar with the actual story, across the country, there have been massive complaints about fireworks in every major city, every single one, even some smaller towns. From around like 8 till like 2 in the morning, it's just a constant fireworks and explosions going off. I saw people tweeting about this, and there's crazy conspiracy theories. First, take a look at this. In 2019, there were 27 fireworks complaints between June 1st and 19th.
Well, it's consistent.
6,385.
Wow.
So naturally,
that's a pretty big spike.
I can tell you exactly. And so look, it's really,
Jeez.
look at this. It's really started,
My goodness.
to pick up around the 10th.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, they said there was 27 in 2019. So we had 17 on the 4th. Then we had 11, 34. And it really started to pick up. Now it's going crazy, right? Now we've got 1,689 as of the 19th.
I mean, are they just simple noise complaints or
Fireworks.
Yeah, but I've seen videos from Chicago of shootouts that sound like firecrackers,
Yep.
fireworks.
That's what
It's
I was
like,
thinking.
No,
Yeah,
But
first I
no,
thought
no,
it
that's
was
not
gunfire.
fireworks.
But people,
those are gunshots.
But people can see the fireworks. Like, you can watch
Okay.
videos of
It's
it.
legitimate fireworks. Okay.
Listen.
Throwing them at each
All
other.
right.
The solution is, the reason for this is so incredibly obvious, man.
Yeah, I agree with
I can't believe these people are actually trying to argue what they're trying to argue. The reality is, the CIA is obviously planting fireworks in these neighborhoods to
Yeah.
destabilize the Black Lives Matter movement
Yep. Of
by
course.
forcing people to endure sleep deprivation. That way they can't properly organize and are constantly under stress. And that way when they bring in the real tanks, everyone will be too scared and they won't know whether it's real fireworks or guns.
I think you're supposed to do that in the Alex Jones voice.
People listen.
Yeah, there you go.
CIA and the government. So they that's the conspiracy theory.
This
I'm
is
kidding.
the
I'm kidding.
simplest explanation, Tim. Is
No,
correct.
I'll give you the real explanation.
No, you told me this earlier. And
All right.
I agree with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, why are there fireworks going crazy? Here's my theory. You see, beginning of this month, there were nationwide riots. You may have seen that in the
If
news.
you'll recall.
If you recall, maybe you were paying attention.
Pretty
You
much
saw-
the whole
you may
month
have-
of June.
You may have also seen that trucks were being stopped and raided, and people were looting buildings and stealing things.
What does that have to do with
What
this?
time of the year do people buy fireworks for the 4th of July?
I believe it's now, Tim.
Yes, it's the couple of weeks leading up to the 4th of July. They don't go out on July 3rd and buy all their fireworks
Well,
at
I
once.
mean, we did, but
Those
yeah.
people
month-
exist.
Yeah.
True.
The month before, they start going out and buying fireworks.
Yep.
But Tim, you say, if that was the contributing factor to why these complaints are happening, why not the previous years? Because the previous years didn't see mass looting from people raiding trucks. So here's what I think happened. A bunch of people started jumping in trucks, stealing boxes, and then found themselves in particular areas with a ton of explosives, commercial grade, and said, what do we do with these? Sell them on the cheap to local kids.
Yep.
And now you are seeing, following the end of the riots, lo and behold, a massive increase in fireworks, going off.
Yep.
That seems to be the most logical explanation.
I'm seeing videos of people in New York playing like firework wars.
Yeah,
I
dude,
saw
the
that.
shooting at each other.
Crazy.
Now I'm not gonna lie,
Looks
I've
like
done
fun.
it. I've done it
With
It's-
Roman candles?
It's fun. It's fun. Don't try this at home, people.
Blow your
No,
hand
it's not
off.
fun. Stop.
But
Dude, a kid in my neighborhood blew his hand off.
I hear stories about
It happens
that.
all the time.
Yeah.
He thought it was like a quarter stick of dynamite. He thought it was a Roman candle.
Oh no.
So he lit it and went like this, boom, and his hand just got blown clean off.
Man, that's sad.
Yeah, dude.
Oh.
Yep. It was crazy. The blood splatter everywhere, man.
Oh, that's nice.
Don't mess around with this stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
true.
You keep
don't
your
wanna-
keep your fingers.
Yeah, you got to be smart.
Yeah. But that's what I think. We quite literally have. There was this woman from. Look at this is crazy, dude. Look how long this thread is. This dude's conspiracy
Getting
theory.
those likes and tweets.
Check this out.
That is a
Look
lot
at
of
this.
likes.
He says,
Yeah.
"Fam, does this gear in these photos look similar to you?" He then shows what appears to be a random photo of a bunch of firefighters and their babies.
Aw.
And then-
Wasn't it Father's Day yesterday?
And then he shows.
oh,
he shows-
Gosh,
I got a
see,
cat.
see, this is what he
Look at
does. You treat him with those.
He's
You
so cute.
you spoil him. Now he wants a piece of that pie. Oh, he's looking for the trees.
He's looking for the cookies.
Look how
Check it out.
cute
But go back
he
to the display.
is.
Go back to the. Go back
No,
to
there's
the.
a cat.
No, there's a cat.
Producer rebels.
All right, check it out. He says in this tweet, doesn't this gear look in these photos look similar to you? In this photo, somebody is selling a bunch of fireworks, right? What's this strap right here?
That's a backpack.
That's a backpack,
Exactly.
Timothy.
That's a backpack.
It's a backpack. And so look what he does. He then shows this, where you've got firefighters with suspenders.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's-
dude,
They do have
What?
suspenders.
That's not the same at all.
It's not the same. Not at
this
all.
is the nature of conspiracy insanity.
It's
Wow.
This
very
dude is,
bad. Yeah.
listen,
All
man.
right, that's bad.
Look how crazy this is. This was tweeted out by the woman who wrote the 1619 Project.
Dude,
Oh my goodness.
The New York Times
this
writer.
is exactly what I would expect from her.
They show this video for the folks who didn't see. It's apparently some firefighters had a fountain firework. You know
Yeah.
what those are? Where it
Yeah.
just goes like,
Yeah.
and he claims that's proof the government is doing it.
What?
He says the FDNY got caught letting off illegal fireworks. It's like, bro, there's a big difference between our, commercial grade mortar shell explosions
Right.
and a little, fountain firework.
Yeah, that's probably the peak there too. It's finishing
Look at
up.
this. My neighbors and I believe this is part of a coordinated attack on black and brown communities by government forces, an attack meant to disorient and destabilize the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think this is
How?
called paranoid
It's
delusional.
hitting up everybody. Everyone that lives around there is getting hit.
Yep.
It's like, I don't get it.
Dude,
That's a stretch.
reporting from
stretch.
Brooklyn, there was yet another night of extremely loud fireworks. These people have lost the plot, man.
I agree.
They're completely out of it. What do we have here? We got
They're making life more interesting.
some things about these fireworks. LAPD is telling people that email about the fireworks, their ability to deal with them has been postponed due to the protests. They're trying to get people angry at the protesters about this. See, there's always some kind of conspiracy.
Yeah.
They're trying to, you know what he's claiming in this? He's claiming that the NYPD is pulling a Chancellor Sutler.
That's what I said last week.
That's right. You guys have seen V for Vendetta, right?
I'm sure.
This
majority
guy
of
is
people-
claiming that the police had a meeting. He doesn't literally say this, but he's insinuating this is what happened. That the chief of police goes to all these cops and says, I want fireworks on every street corner. I want explosions in the middle of the night. I want these people to remember why they need us.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's
I
pretty good.
tried.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
pretty good. Yeah.
That's what he's alleging is going on. The NYPD has dropped caches of fireworks for young people to find, to blow up in the middle of the night, to shock people and scare them into realizing they need
But
the police.
only black and brown people.
Yes.
Sorry,
Of course.
I already
Yeah.
called you out on it, Democrats. You're the ones that are basically, well, they don't have a Chancellor Sutler, but that's what it feels like. They're like, COVID-19, you need
Dude.
us, you need authoritarianism, and then all the riots, like
You need
police state.
Check it, check
I
it,
don't
check
even
it.
understand what
Wait,
they're
wait.
doing anymore.
I tweeted this clip out.
Yeah.
All right, so go to twitter.com/Timcast. Look at this clip I tweeted. It's from V for Vendetta, and I'll tell you what the craziest thing is.
I didn't even notice this at first.
Chancellor Sutler is like the bad guy, right? He's like the fascist dictator. And he tells them what they need to do. He's like, I want story-to-story coverage. I want people to be scared, so I want them reminded why they need us. He wants people to be scared and begging for the government's safety. And then the first thing they show is a TV screen that says America's Second Civil War.
Still going.
Yeah, and she's like, the Civil War in America rages on,
Oh, I
causing
remember
turmoil
that,
in the middle
yeah.
in the Midwest. And I was like, whoa,
We were watching it, and I was like, "Holy cow! What?"
it's a sign.
Oh, okay.
They're predicting the second civil war. But there's actually some other stuff in this that's really amazing. They then show, I think it's someone saying a new pandemic, and then the guy, it shows a guy in a bar and he goes, "Do you believe this?"
Yes.
And I was like, "No!"
I was like, this is
what?
literally happening.
Are we in a movie?
What is going on?
So I've been saying it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what it feels like.
Yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, have you seen this meme?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Have you seen this meme?
What meme?
Go on Google, type in any 3-digit number beginning with the number 1, and then followed by new cases.
No, it doesn't have to have a 1 in it. It could be any 3
No,
numbers.
it has to begin with the number 1.
No, I tried all 3. I didn't know that rule, and I was doing all different combinations
There's
of 3 numbers.
There's nothing for 0, 1, 2.
Oh, I did do
starting with 0.
0.
Yeah.
It has to start with the number 1.
Or 2.
No.
Or
I mean at least
4.
right. You're right.
Anything greater than 1.
Any number greater than 1. Because I saw a really funny point. Someone said, "I'm a programmer, so I tried 0, 0, 1. It didn't work."
Well, no
I'm like,
kidding.
that's a good point. We get it. You're a programmer. You think outside the box. But if you take any number from 100 up to 999, you will find every single number comes up.
Yep, every single one. I tried for a little while. I was like, I can't believe this is working.
So I tried 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, and you put 101 new cases. Boom. I tried 999. Boom. I tried 666. Boom.
Whoa.
232, 237, 349. Boom, 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 boom. They all come up.
I did this random one. It was like 8, 3, I forget the combo, and it was like the angel number, and I was like, wait, what is this?
What?
Yeah, it was weird.
That's really weird.
It was like COVID, the angel number, and I'm like,
So first,
Interesting.
what? Anyway,
I'm not
random
here.
thought.
I'm not
Numerology.
alleging any conspiracy craziness with this meme or whatever it is.
You think COVID's real still?
I think it's certainly. I think people panicked for sure.
Okay.
I think they went nuts and they were like screeching and freaking out for sure.
Okay.
But there is a simple explanation for it. You'll notice a lot of these places are in foreign countries. When you type in 371, it might say
Ukraine showed up, but there was
Right.
also different states.
For sure.
Always a different
Different
little
times.
small town.
So I think the real issue here is that when you factor in the entire planet was hit by this pandemic for the most part,
Yeah.
Google search is going to find you any story.
Odds are good.
Yeah, the odds are good.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're talking about only 1,000 different numbers out of 3 months of every city and every country in the world. So it is interesting. But while I don't think it's a grand conspiracy because no one's coordinating every single website to produce numbers like this,
Right.
it just reminded me of that scene where the guy's like, he no longer believes it. He's in the bar and he looks at the press and he's like, "Do you believe this bollocks?"
Actually, he says, "Are you effing serious?"
Is that what he says?
Or do you effing believe it? There's a swear in there.
Yeah.
But it
that's
reminds me of
I
all
want
the
to
people.
be accurate, all right?
Yeah.
Trying to be
the
factual.
B word.
It reminds me of all the people who are saying, "I don't believe this anymore.
Right.
I just don't believe it."
Yeah, I felt like we were in a movie when I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's us. This is happening.
So is it the apocalypse? Or are we being tricked by the fascists who are trying to remind us why we need them?
I don't know, man.
So is that the idea that they're trying to make everything crazy so that we long for the days before Trump?
Maybe. The normalcy that Joe Biden brings
The sweet, sweet sound of Joe Biden
creeping
whispering
up behind you.
and whispering in your ears?
Yep.
Whispering sweet, sweet, the thing.
Nothings.
No, it's like
Sweet
I want
things.
factories to come back here.
Sweet things.
I don't want China to make our medicine. Like we are in their shadow right now. They make everything for us. And it's like, what happened to the days of American made being like the quality product? Like those
Instead
days
of the garbage product.
Yeah, those days don't exist anymore. It's like why can't we bring that back? Let's make quality stuff. Let's appreciate quality over throw away everything, which is what we live in, the environment, the society that we live in. It's like, just toss this, whatever, I'll just get a new one. Or get something really quality, something really nice that lasts for a long time that you can fix. Bring the factories back. Let's it's basically just ruining the profits of the corporations. It's like, boo-hoo, sorry corporations. They're the ones who probably hate Trump the most.
It's a weird extraction of resources. You end up with big corporations that get us Americans to pay Chinese labor, which stays in China.
Yeah.
And then that money goes to the bigwigs, and that creates extreme wealth disparity.
Here in America.
And this is the craziest thing, that you have the left arguing that wealth disparity is bad and that Trump is bad. And it's like, but you realize if Trump brings those jobs back,
right,
it will normalize, it'll bring the middle class back.
Exactly.
So it'll actually make a lot of things more expensive for us here in America.
Which will make you appreciate the item more. People spend $1,000 on their phone, and they cherish their phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you realize.
Well, they break their screens all the time too.
Okay, well, whatever. You get my point, though.
Right.
It's like, people spend the things they spend a lot of money on is the thing they're like, oh, I'm gonna cherish this.
Yep.
But everything else is throw away everything. And it's
like bridges
everything
or their toilets.
Yeah, you think about that, and
Yeah.
they're like, whatever. But you can go buy a new toilet for $100.
Imagine,
like whatever.
Imagine if it was $5 to flush your toilet.
Whoa. You
People
think
would
about
probably
that a lot.
poop a lot less.
They'd be like, I'm gonna hold it in until the very last minute,
that would
and just have one big detonation. But because it's free, they don't care. Dude, look.
Bowel movements
listen,
are
man,
funny. I'm a little kid.
I'm telling you, there will come a time in the future where like you're gonna be an old man and you're gonna have like a little kid. And he's gonna be like, Grandpa Adam, can you tell me about how you used to flush fresh water down the toilet? And you're gonna go, we used to flush it down the toilet. Now it's $50 a gallon.
Yeah.
That's what the future's gonna be like.
Fresh water. It's going to be the war of the future.
Priceless, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You need water for your cities to operate.
Yep.
And people don't realize that fresh water is.
You turn the sink on for fresh water. Like,
glorious.
How
Where
did
does
Rome?
that come
How
from?
did the Rome Empire spread? Because they had roads
They had aqueducts.
and
Yeah.
aqueducts.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
mostly roads, but it was like they had aqueducts. Why their cities worked.
Yep.
They had
Sewer
society.
systems, yeah.
So if you don't want these things, go live in the middle of the woods. See how long you last.
Nah, these privileged people go to the city, like they're in CHAZ and they still
Yeah.
have flushable toilets.
I know exactly.
Turn off the toilet, see how long they last.
Well, no, didn't they have like a
Porta
long
potties.
line of porta potties?
Yeah.
Well, in Chicago, they were pooping in a tent. And I don't mean in a bucket in a
Gross.
tent. I mean, they literally were
It was-
pooping
it
in a
was
They're
tent.
like, this
The
is the
poop deck.
tent.
Yeah.
The poop deck.
You know what, dude,
Gross.
listen, this is serious. You need to listen to me right now.
Oh
Okay.
man,
They proposed human manure in CHAZ.
that's
Yeah.
doesn't work if you.
Someone responded with, it doesn't work because human waste is too acidic.
Yeah. There's actually certain diets. If you are 100% perfect on your diet, I believe it's like 100% plant based.
Right.
No.
Eating
nothing.
grass.
Yeah, basically. Like, I mean, I'm not even that far. My poop's probably not good for manure, but it's not good. You can't use it.
They were proposing.
It worked for
Taking dumps
Matt
in the
Damon on Mars, though.
Yeah, that
So
makes
we got to
sense.
learn something.
Well,
He made
so
potatoes grow.
The idea
It
was
may be a movie. I'm
in-
not sure.
in the CHAZ. Could you imagine this? In a park in Seattle, in a major city,
Spreading poop all over.
a bunch of left-wing activists all are squatting in a field, taking dumps just out in the open.
Do you think
onto
they would
their gardens?
Do you think they would segregate the poop
Oh.
just
It
to
would- well,
maintain like this is white poop that
No, no,
goes
no,
to
no.
the white garden?
Hold on, no.
Whoa.
They would expect the racial people in their own gardens to poop. So yes, the poop would be segregated.
Segregated poop. All right.
I wonder.
This is the world we're living in now.
Could you imagine if they like accidentally discovered a racial disparity in the manure value of human waste?
Oh my gosh.
Like by accidentally segregating the races, we've determined that Latinos, in fact, have the most potent fertilizer poop. They accidental like, nobody knew. How did that happen? And they do a bunch of controls. No, but they wanted to poop in fields, and that's the crazy thing is they don't understand. None of the you know what's crazy to me?
None of them understand.
Let's say 1,000 years ago, 400 years ago. You think most people had seen a dead body
No. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
today?
I have.
I mean, in real life.
You were a fancy doctor.
Yeah,
so-
you
so
worked
you
at a hospital.
Sure, I did.
That doesn't.
Saw a lot of dead people.
So I mean, the answer to yes for that in people who work in hospital is gonna skyrocket.
Yeah, that's fair.
But in regular non-hospital world, how many
Soldiers.
people actually saw?
Soldiers, EMTs,
Okay.
firefighters.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
those are not the majority of people.
We're talking about the majority of
I'm
people
talking
here.
about-
Lydia.
Normies.
10-year-old
Right,
kid.
I didn't want to say normies because that feels awfully derogatory, but
10-year-old
fair.
kid in the year like 16 something
yeah.
in the colonies walking down, and there's like old man Jenkins just flumped over dead and bloated,
Yep.
and it's like people die all the time.
Oh, Mr. Jenkins.
Dead babies too,
And he owed me a nickel.
Yep.
Man.
Today, people do, but I think the overwhelming majority of these privileged people at like CHAZ they probably never even seen anybody get a boo-boo,
Well, they have now.
Well, now they have. They put
Some of them.
tourniquets on
Oh,
them.
that's right. Yeah. People are
Yeah.
getting shot.
My skateboard did more damage to my
Right,
ankle than that guy.
seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. So Adam was skating, and he keeps hitting the same spot on his ankle,
It's a
ripping
tray
it
foot, man.
open,
It's a tray foot.
and blood is pouring out all over his shoe and sock. And I'm like, dude, wrap it up.
What did I do though?
He just kept skating.
but I landed it.
Yeah, you. Well, like,
I was
okay,
like,
sure.
no, I gotta land this trick.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like,
I landed
you
it.
gotta take a picture of it, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what's funny is there was more blood there than when the guy in the CHAZ got hit with a foam bullet, and it gave him an abrasion, and so he's like crying, and they're putting a tourniquet on his leg.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want to lose my leg. And they were like, we got to stop the bleeding. It's like, no, you don't. It was like, dude, it was a minor abrasion. Like crazy. You were bleeding like crazy. Your sock is soaked in blood and you were fine. You just washed it off.
It was really bad, actually. When I took the shoe off, it was like the whole ankle was
drenched
the whole
in blood.
heel. Yeah.
Dude, you got to wrap that
bad.
up, man.
Well, I cleaned it. I took care of my
But it's funny that like, we'll go out skating. You'll whack your ankle and go, oh no, not again, and blood starts pouring out, and you keep skating.
Yeah.
The kids in the CHAZ are like, I got an abrasion, quick tourniquet.
Call the
land down.
police.
Call the police. put the gauze on it, quick.
Seriously, get the gauze.
Dude, man.
They're like, you're gonna be fine, dude. You're gonna be fine. Hang in there.
I think we were talking about this earlier. Just like, we really have a whole. This cat is going nuts.
I'm gonna go settle things.
It's your fault. You spoil him.
No, he's bored. The cat is.
No, they're fighting.
No. He's just slashing up the tissue paper.
Oh, well, he just chased her out of the room.
Betsy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cats for you.
Yes, they're fighting.
What were we talking about?
What are we?
Totally.
What are we?
Oh yeah,
talking
the
about?
lost generation
LARPers.
of the lost generation of people who will never be able to survive on their own. I think it was funny because somebody mentioned.
Yeah.
Like I was talking about how millennials can't survive. You put them in the middle of the woods and they'll have like a real panic attack.
Yeah, definitely.
And then somebody tweeted at me like Tim Pool thinks he could survive in the woods, LMAO. And I'm like, bro, I didn't say that.
It's like, where'd you get that information?
I didn't say like
Tim, that's that emotional trigger. That I'm emotionally triggered. I immediately have to degrade you and bring you down, and it doesn't even have to be relevant. I just need to attack you because
I'll tell you what.
attacked my emotional center.
I'll tell you one thing.
It happens all the time.
If you took me and one of these like CHAZ SJWs and put them in the woods,
Okay.
There's a lot of circumstances in which I would be more likely to survive.
Because you'd eat them.
No.
Wait, what? Just kidding.
I was just gonna say like I would be more hardened and like not scared or panicky. I wouldn't be demanding. I'd be responsible. I would first try and figure out a shelter.
Well, I hear vegans are grass fed, so they taste better.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I was gonna say, these people have no idea. These people have no idea how to deal with animals, right?
That's true.
What do you do when you encounter a mountain lion? Do you know?
Man, I probably make yourself as big as possible and make a lot of noise.
Yes, that is correct. There was a recent thread where like some cops said slowly back away, and that's a mistake. You need to make them feel like they're going to get into a fight and they don't want to.
Right.
Now, what do you do when you encounter a black bear? Run faster than the scrawny CHAZ person.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd live. I'd be like darting, and they'd be like, "Wait!" And I'd be like, "You're bear food, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm not sticking around."
No way.
So
those things can climb fast.
You
can't climb up a tree. Those things will climb up if they want you.
Black bears, you have to fight. I could be wrong about this. Don't act like I'm not. That what's his name? Bear Grylls, the urine drinking guy. I'm not him.
Yeah, guns aren't always even for hunting. There's this thing called self-defense. I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's animals that live in the world that will eat you.
These people, listen, they would see a mountain lion.
They'll eat you.
These people would see a mountain lion,
Yeah.
and they would scream and run.
Right.
And you know what happens when you do that with a mountain lion?
prey.
The mountain lion immediately charges you.
It's like, oh, prey. They're running.
Food.
Yep.
Yeah. So you look them in the eyes, and you make yourself big, and
Pick
go,
up a huge rock and just be like, "Whoa, come on. Let's do this."
air horns.
That's what I would do.
And
I'd
then-
rip my shirt off.
They don't.
I don't know.
Wave your
So-
shirt at him. Yeah.
Start waving it around in the air
Yeah.
like,
Actually, I think that would work. Yeah.
So check it out.
Come at me, bitch.
How many of these people in the
regret nothing.
CHAZ? How many of these CHAZ people do you think have ever heard the sound of a gunshot?
I don't know.
The John Brown Gun Club guys,
'Cause-
definitely.
I
Raz,
think
definitely.
about myself. It's like you would never have expected someone like me to have heard gunshots, and yet I've heard gunshots a lot in my life.
Chicago.
Chicago,
Yeah, it depends where they're
New
from.
York.
Yeah.
I will tell
Baltimore.
you this.
When we were in Baltimore at the riots, it's like I've been in situations where I've seen this stuff. It's like
These
you wouldn't
people-
expect that, but you think about them, and it's like they're a bunch of SJWs. But you know what? I don't know. I don't think it's all true. There's definitely some hardened people over there.
But even the John Brown Gun Club people are like, they're definitely better than most of the far lefties who are like really scrawny, frail, eat poor diets, and are kind of messed up in the head.
Yeah.
Like, at least they understand the basics of like using guns. And I'll admit, like, I'm not, they're better than me at all that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But I've actually watched videos of these guys, and they're still like, they nah.
LARPing.
Yeah, kind of.
Just playing the part.
Like the guy, like, listen, what, you know why it is that they're more scared of right-wing terror than left-wing terror?
Why?
Because the left-wing terrorists who have tried are just pathetic.
Yeah.
Absolutely pathetic.
That's a good point.
The dude who went to the ICE facility,
Willem
Vance Bronson, whatever, was like, it's like this. I was gonna say something funny but really offensive. I'll stop saying it.
Good for you.
It's I really want to make the joke. I can't do it.
No, don't do it.
No, I can't. YouTube
Angel
might.
and Devil.
I was just gonna say, you know, there's.
He's very
I
special.
really want to say he's
No,
very.
no, I'm gonna take
Special?
it. There's, you know, the cops took CHAZ again. They went back to the precinct. They
took it back
marched,
over.
They marched through. No one did a thing. They walked right into the precinct. There was people like, bah, bah.
They just walked in.
Well, they walked in. They went back in, and now they're. I don't know if they're still there. I don't know if they were checking out the scene, but videos were flying around that.
Look.
Oh, yep, they retook it, and no one did a thing.
You have these like extremist. They call them far right. I don't necessarily know what that means because
It's alt left.
no, I'm talking about like the church shootings in New Zealand, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They say it's like everything's right wing or whatever. So but anyway, they fear these people because they're effective. And I'm not. And this is horrifying about it. That when these lunatics decide to engage in some kind of terrorist activity, they succeed, and it's really scary.
It's a good point. It's a good
The
point.
Vance Bronson guy showed up, staggered like a moron, throwing firebombs randomly, and then he immediately got shot and killed.
Right.
Like he had no idea.
It's like an emotional attack versus like a logical attack.
They're
both attacks and are not.
It's an issue of
are bad.
capability.
Right.
The left, like Antifa, are pathetic, scrawny losers.
Okay.
Like, come on, man, watch the video of the Proud Boys versus Antifa when he winds the punch up and smacks him in the face.
Like they're not even the same.
Yeah, it's like watching Mike Tyson box a 3-year-old.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, he walks up and he's like, "I'm gonna give you a good punch," and boom, and then the kid goes flying 20 feet out of the ring.
You see, he's training again.
Oh yeah,
Dude's a beast, man.
yeah, dude, for sure.
He's still a beast. I saw a video. His training video is like, I don't want to ever be even near your punch when he punches. It's like hammers, man.
But anyway, the point is, when you end up with whatever the right is, you have masculine, aggressive, tactful, strategic, and the further you go left, you get unhinged, whiny, and like not fairly well thought out at all.
Yeah.
And
well,
so
that's what we were talking about yesterday at the restaurant when we were talking about. I said it. I was like, this is basically what you get when you know it inverts into the unbalance between the matriarchy and the patriarchy, and
Right.
they're like, bring the patriarchy down, and now we have all these people that don't have dads. They don't have a father figure, and they're raised by their mothers, which is, you know, spinning it the other way, and so they're seeking approval by any means necessary. What, it feels like you're about to add some.
No, you're
Yeah,
finished,
but you know what I'm saying. It's like, so we're seeing it. All these people that are out there, I'm making a huge assumption here that they don't have a solid father figure being like, no, that is not acceptable.
Discipline.
Instead of a mother where they, you know, wants to give you everything and be the mother figure, the traditional mother figure. I guess I'm saying, you know. You
see that video of the black dude punches the Macy's employee? Have you seen that?
I have seen it. I don't know much about it yet,
So-
other than that one video.
This video goes viral,
messed up.
and this black dude walks up to a white dude, punches him in the face, and then, you know, they claimed that the white dude called him the N-word.
Right.
And it's funny, like, as if that would justify an assault. The police should go and arrest these guys.
Right.
But in the video, the dude who's beating on the Macy's employee says, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me." And what does the Macy's employee say? "I'm sorry. I'm sorry," as he cowers on the ground and rolls around. And I'm like, that man on the floor is truly pathetic. Now think about that dude raising kids.
Yeah.
And you can talk about a good father figure, someone who's strong, determined, disciplined, and can instill what is acceptable and unacceptable.
Yep.
That dude, I'm sorry, would be a terrible father. What would his kids be like? To cower on the ground,
I don't know,
saying "I'm sorry" over and over again as someone assaulted you for no reason. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's one of my favorite things about the ancient Egyptians. A lot of their texts showed that there's such beauty in the balance of the masculine and the feminine, and it's like we have no balance anymore. The society is all
feminine.
Unbalanced.
It's all feminine.
No. It's on either side. That's what I'm seeing. You have to pick a side on every subject anyone brings up at all. There's either this side or this side, and if you're over here and they're over here, they hate you. You're cut off. I don't care. I don't want to even hear your argument or watch whatever proof you think you're going to bring up.
But I'm saying, like, in terms of masculine and feminine,
okay,
our society is just all feminine. So masculine, we were talking about this earlier.
Well, I'm here proving otherwise, baby.
Masculine is the determination, the risk-taking, the striving to be more, to be better.
Yeah.
And also to protect and build.
That's you, man. You showed me that you need to have that drive to further yourself.
Right. Femininity
okay.
is protection.
Right.
Mitigating risk, caring, healing.
Yes.
So what is our society right now? Risk is bad. Anything that could be harmful must be banned. It is all toxic femininity.
Exactly.
Masculinity is gone.
But they're trying to erase it completely.
It mostly is.
They're trying.
Just wait.
There are people that are fighting it. I am one of them.
Just wait until they announce NFL has to be gender diversified.
It's not going to fly.
I disagree.
Okay.
Look at the latest video games that have come out and how they force this culture on people, whether they like it or not.
Last of Us 2, for example. Yeah, and dude. And I've talked to a friend of mine who said it's a masterpiece, and I'm like, is it though? I tweeted this out, and I'm reading all these. I'm not playing the game. I have zero interest in playing the game, but from what I'm finding, it's that they are trying to. It's basically the caricature of all the SJW
tropes.
Believe
right.
that real life is like, that men talk like what they say behind closed doors, and it's like they're shoving it down your throat and making it this whole thing, and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want that. I don't want to hear what you think the world is like, because that's not what reality is like. That's what you want reality to be like, because that justifies the way you're acting.
How many people in this country are trans?
I don't know the statistic.
Do you know the number?
It's something like 0.004%.
It's like a really small number.
Yeah.
It might actually be higher than most people realize.
And honestly, that's fine. Be trans. Like, it doesn't bother me.
That's not the issue.
Change my life.
The issue is that one of the reasons I think that we will come to a point where football is overtly SJW.
Okay.
Like, we're already seeing now the guy like Colin Kaepernick is being floated again. They're going to bring him back for kneeling and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. But The Last of Us 2 has a trans sex scene, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't speak to 99.98% of the population of this country.
Agreed.
I'm not saying I care.
Especially
I really don't. I honestly don't care. I think it's fine if they wanted to do it. That's their choice of a game.
Right.
And people really do like the game. Look, I was talking to some guy recently who said he really loved the game. And that's fine. My point is not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
It's that it's certainly not catering to a mass market.
Right.
So what would happen then if this 0.02% of people said women should be in the NFL? What's going to stop them from forcing women to be in the NBA, the NFL, and the MLB and all that stuff?
Well, it's like this whole battle with trans athletes. It's like it's basically taking women's achievements and just pooping all over them. Basically, like, nah, this person identifies as a woman,
they're winning.
So
they're winning.
I if I was a woman, I'd be upset about it.
Yeah, and guess what? When they burn down the businesses of a lot of these restaurants, what do those owners say? Well, I appreciate the movement, because they know if they speak up, they will come back. Yep. There's a woman right now who's working with the police because they looted her bakery, and they're sending her death threats now for working with the cops. They're saying, be a happy little victim and you take what you get, period. And they're winning. We thought it was going away with COVID, and now it's come back so intense.
Back in force,
it's amazing how much they have gained with knocking down statues. Check this out. 3 guys apparently got arrested for vandalizing a Black Lives Matter mural of some sort.
Okay.
They got arrested.
Whoa.
How many people have torn down statues of founding fathers and nothing's happened?
That's crazy.
How many people got arrested for rioting in Fort Worth and were released and the rioting charges dropped? How many people in New York were arrested during the protest for George Floyd and were released and all charges dropped? And how many people got tickets for trying to go to church? They are winning. They're taking it over.
Yeah,
and they're going to force football to do this stuff too, and NASCAR and Major League Baseball, and it is going to be completely unrecognizable. And this is what I was thinking. You know what, man? I thought if Joe Biden wins, then this whole country is going to go so far woke, so fast, your head will spin, and no one will do anything about it. But if Trump wins, the insane woke people will start some kind of civil war. I think that
They'll try.
No. Listen. If Biden wins, then all of these conservatives and all of these people who are complaining about the stuff will sit on their hands and say, "Oh well, I don't like it." And they'll do nothing about it. Nothing will happen.
No, you're wrong, because you already said earlier when we were talking about what California is doing, when they come for the elites' children, the elites will make a difference and change and fight it. That's just the beginning.
That was from James Lindsay, who said, "I think I saw the beginning of the end of this."
I know, but I think there's some truth in that, though.
I do.
Because the people who make the most money, they like the status quo if they continue making the most money, because they can pay for whatever security they need. They can pay to have food brought in for wherever they want. It doesn't affect them. But when it starts affecting them, they're going to be like, okay, we're going to make a difference now.
I will agree with you if they cancel Yale. Do you know about that campaign?
Yeah.
If they actually get Eli, how do you pronounce his name? Elihu? Yale? He was one of the most brutal slave traders. Maybe not the most brutal, but dude was brutal.
Bad,
He passed a law that every boat leaving Madras in India had to carry at least 10 slaves for any reason.
Wow.
So it's like, could you? It's like it's one thing to have slavery. It's another thing to be like, nope. Every boat. It's like, but sir, we're just a transport. But 10 slaves.
That's what you're transporting
it's like,
now.
We're literally just like a couple fishermen. 10 slaves. Got to do it. That's what that guy was doing. And he's Yale. So a bunch of conservatives have been like, cancel Yale. Will they? Right. Will any activists show up to pull down Yale statue?
Right.
I really doubt it.
I doubt it.
Exactly. Because these people are off limits for some reason. The privileged elites are immune.
Yep, exactly.
So they will come for your football.
So when will the hypocrisy reach them and make something click? It's not.
You know what, man? Regular Americans might vote for Trump. This stuff might scare them. And I was thinking about...
It is scaring them.
We don't know that.
I think so.
According to the multiple polls, of support for Black Lives Matter is up like 28 points in the past month.
Okay.
If we actually take the polls for what they're worth, then Trump is down immensely, and people immensely support Black Lives Matter.
And who's doing these polls?
A bunch of different companies, universities, newspapers, data analytics firms, and they all show a similar trend.
And if someone had enough money, they can pay to have all these polls say whatever they want.
No.
Okay.
I
think so.
Rasmussen, for instance, said Trump was underwater. Rasmussen's favored Trump the entire time.
Okay.
Like nonstop. So there could be one other factor here. You follow Mike Cernovich and they'll fire you. Mm-hmm. So how many people are going to say yes to a phone call?
Absolutely
Who do you
no
support? No, Joe Biden. I mean, of course. I mean, I'm not a big hit. Please. Seriously, please. That's what they're going to say on the phone.
I can't lose my job.
I can't lose my job. When someone's asked, they don't know who you are or what you're calling for. Yeah, Biden, of course. Yeah, I do love Black Lives Matter. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. And then they go and cry in the corner, and they're going to go pull a lever for Trump.
That's what I think is way more accurate than whatever any poll is saying.
I agree. I agree. However, Hillary Clinton lost because she was hated by everybody. Like, the hatred for her was immense, and Trump was able to weaponize that. Joe Biden is sleepy, mumbly bumbly Joe.
He's a freaking pedo, man.
Sure, but
I don't understand how people can't stand him because of all the creepy things that he's done.
They've made him out to be a defenseless, pathetic old man.
That you can't even rag on him because he's just a defenseless old man.
Well, you can rag on him, but it's sad.
It is sad.
Not anger-inducing.
Yeah.
So what if now the anti-Trump sentiment actually works and people learned their mistake of 2016 by not voting because they thought Hillary was going to win, and they go and vote and Trump loses? I then think all of these culture war people in a similar space to us will just sit back and take all of it.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll
That's one way of seeing it. I see a lot of people going, I am sick of rioters and them taking down statues of history that has taught us what being a bad person versus being a good person, that shows us we've learned from our history and gotten to here. So now you want to destroy all that history and all these people. I personally, just talking about myself, I'm pissed.
Me too.
I don't like it. I'm voting for Trump. I'm okay with it. I'm talking about it. Like, I'll openly say it. Like, yeah, I am. I think he is doing a lot of things that I didn't understand, and I didn't like him before. But now, over the past 4 or 5 months, how long have we been doing this show?
Month 6.
I am immersing myself in what is going on in the world, and I see it. I'm not an idiot. I'm a logical based person. I follow the logic. I follow what's actually happening. And I think he's doing a lot of things that we need to had happen. The Democrats work with China. It's like, that scares me. I am frightened of China. They clearly want to control the world. And I think that there's a lot of people that they've paid in America, Democrats mostly, that are trying to undermine America as a whole. And
because they got foreign interests, factories, international companies, conglomerates.
Yes, the corporations that are making all the profit from
International
all the movement of all the product that we all use. And it's like, okay, so if Trump wants to bring that back to the States, no wonder he's been Orange Man bad for the whole 4 or 5 years that he's been in the media.
He's pulling cash out of their pockets, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
The tariffs.
Hello. Yes.
Yep.
It's like, it's so obvious to me now. So it's like, I'm seeing it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not an idiot anymore. And I like to believe that a lot of people my age that are coming of age of coming out of being in your bubble to realizing what life is like.
It's like the bell curve of life. You're in your mid 30s, you're starting to, this is where you're going to be.
They call it being red pilled.
Sure.
And and I would never go back because I like being informed.
It's like as soon as someone opened the window and you looked outside, you said, "Oh, I'm voting Trump."
Yeah.
It's like
basically.
I think it's funny that, people keep saying things like, who have they said? I'm one of the slowest red pills ever.
You are.
No, that's
no, they are saying about you.
I know, but that's ridiculous. It's like the other people have made a better point that I'm dishing out red pills every day. I just don't take my own supply or whatever.
You don't go high.
And I'm like, no. You got to understand, man.
Yeah, but you try to be an unbiased source of. I mean, you are a little bit biased in certain issues.
I try to be right. I try to make sure I have the facts straight before giving my opinion.
And that's using logic.
Right.
To find the truth.
And so here's the issue of
that's legit. That's why I respect you.
The issue of what is red pilled versus what isn't. I mean, for one, people have different definitions.
True.
But the sad reality is right now, all the red pill folks, you just happen to be more right. That's it. I'm not here to say I support this tribe. I'm here to say, well, as the chips lie, this tends to be the correct path.
Yep.
And during Occupy Wall Street, it was the other way. The attacks on Occupy and the things that people said about them was just mostly, a lot of it was BS. And so I said, well, actually, no, here's what happened. And then I ended up getting a lot of libertarian support. And that's the thing, the biggest group of the self-identifying group that follows my content are libertarians, mostly center-right libertarian.
Yeah. It's
the biggest. Then it's I don't know I think it's Trump supporters after that. Then politically homeless, moderate types.
Yeah.
We did a survey. So anyway, for the most part, I guess to go back to the main point is I agree with you that people are angry and scared.
Yeah.
But will that be enough to defeat the zombie hordes? 65 million voted for Hillary last time.
Yeah, when I said they're going to come into they're going to leave the cities and start trying to run rampant, and they're going to reach small town America, and they're not going to like what they find. They're going to be told to get out.
But they don't have to go to small town America.
Why not?
If they can control all cultural institutions, then there's nothing that small town America can do about anything. What are they going to do?
Keep their food? Stop sending food around?
But why would they do that? They need stuff from the cities too.
What do they need from the cities?
Well, the cities are the intelligence hubs for large manufacturing and major corporations.
Well, there's going to be a huge shift in America, man, and listen, I don't know where it's going to be, but it feels like two big trucks playing chicken, screaming at each other. One's Democrat, one's Republicans, and it's like
what the left is doing.
It's going to be a crash, whatever happens.
The left doesn't need to go to the rural areas so long as the rural people keep bending the knee and giving in to whatever the left says. There will not be a civil war. That's why I think if Trump wins, the left will incite it.
They're already trying to incite everything right now.
Sure,
so
and there's no reason.
What's the difference?
But listen. There's no reason for the conservatives to go into New York to stop the riots, so they just happen.
Right.
So if Trump wins, the left is going to go nuts and bring it to D.C., and then, there's going to be hot pocket areas where violence breaks out, worse than we've ever seen. But if Biden wins, then the left will be emboldened. If tomorrow AOC wins re-election, the progressive far left cultists will be emboldened, and she's probably going to win. I think she will. We'll see, though. There's a lot of good reasons to suggest she might lose her primary tomorrow to Michelle Cruz Cabrera.
Yeah, I don't know. We weren't able to see the discussion she had.
That's
Yeah,
right.
AOC banned the press from her debate.
I wonder why.
These people
'Cause
are,
she's worried.
listen, and no one has done anything.
Yep.
So I'm not talking, I don't, look, I get it, right? It's like, what do you even do, right? Tom Cotton came out today and said the DOJ must go after those who are tearing down statues.
I agree with him.
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it take so long? Where's everybody else? Where's Rand Paul even? Has he brought it up?
Seriously, I
Come
don't
on,
know.
man. The first thing, if I saw someone, man, the first day I saw Thomas Jefferson get torn down, I was livid.
Yep.
And I made a video about it.
Yep.
Could you imagine being a politician and being like, well, they're tearing down Thomas Jefferson. Anyway, what are you guys doing for lunch?
Yeah.
I'd be screaming. I'd get up and I would yell and point the finger at each and every one of these people and I would say, what are you
Flip the
doing?
table.
Yep.
Time to flip some tables. That's what Crowder was saying.
Yeah.
Reference to Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, you
Who-
ask
the money
any
changers.
one of my friends who I would be voting for this year, they probably wouldn't guess Trump. They would have no idea.
That's flipping the table, bro.
I'm flipping the table, man. I don't like it.
That's a good analogy. I really do like it. You know the story? Like he went to the temple and the money changers are there and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, "Ah." I don't know the gist of the full story, but
He
that's just,
braided a whip.
whoa, wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, he took his time. He braided a whip and he flipped the tables and he chased the money changers out of the temple. He was not messing around. Very peaceful.
Man, we totally didn't get into the super chats.
Wow.
It's 9:50.
I know.
Oh.
We got to read it. We got
Yeah,
to.
But
we
we had a
Yeah.
good long conversation, so I
Yeah.
apologize for everybody.
I do not apologize at all.
No apologies.
Good
Everything
stuff.
that we've been saying needs to be said.
That's true.
Needs to be talked about.
True.
People need to be having this kind of conversation.
But I do want to
with everybody.
I
A
do wanna-
logical based conversation, not a battlefield. That's all it is. Everyone wants to start battles. I don't want to have a battle with you. I want to talk to you. I want to understand your position.
Dude, they
You try
don't.
to-
They don't.
Yes, they want a battle. That's what I'm saying. They want to
and
have a battle.
I know.
That's
So-
exactly what I just said. So don't say no.
No, I'm saying
Say
you
yes.
want to have
Tell me
conversations
right
with these
now.
people.
Say yes.
No.
I do. I want to have conversations with people.
I
That's what I
believe
want
you.
for people.
Right.
So don't tell me no, Tim.
No, I'm not telling you no that
Anyway,
you don't want to have conversations.
moving on to
I'm saying
Super
these
Chats.
people don't. And there is nothing you can do to make them
I
do
know
it.
that. You're right. Because that's what.
So it doesn't really matter if
extremes-
you want to, Adam.
The extremes. Yeah, well, I will never lose my optimism.
Right.
I will never lose that part of me that wants to help anyone. And that's another issue. People are like, you know what? You're a lost cause. Why should I even bother? I'll tell you why. Because people see that. And then it's like, you know what? If he's going to try, maybe I should try. And then if someone else sees it, you know what? That's a good point. Maybe I should try. Maybe I should try to make a difference. Maybe I should talk to those people. What about the man who went to who converted like 100 and 200 people, KKK members? What's his name?
Daryl Davis.
Daryl Davis.
Right.
What a boss.
All he did
If
was hang out
someone
with him.
said to him, those people don't want to know what you're saying. You can't change their mind. If he said, you know what, you're right. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to go try and talk to them. And he didn't do that. Boom. But he was like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to these people. Hey, man, you want to go drive in that fancy car? And the guy was like, what? Blew his mind away. It's about making a connection with
Right.
people. They need to realize that we're all the same.
But that's actually a really strong indictment of what the left is.
What?
That Daryl Davis was able to actually go hang out with Klan members.
Yeah.
And if you go to an Antifa group or you go to CHAZ,
You can't chill.
they dragged a man through the street in CHAZ.
Yeah.
They dragged him. They choked him
Street
out.
Preacher.
That's freaky.
Yeah, and my uncle got shot and killed by
How do you
a
reason with
black
that?
person.
If
Does
you-
that mean I'm a racist now? Because I'm going to equate that to all black people everywhere? No, I'm not going to do
That's
that.
not what I'm saying.
It's very similar.
No, I'm saying that Daryl Davis went to Klan members
Right.
and started talking to them.
Right, but there's people in CHAZ that will refuse that, right? You're saying that, well, look, but there's people that will drag you through the streets. And it's like, okay, so that one person that's going to drag people through the streets, that's going to be I'm going to stop because that one person is an a-hole.
No, I'm saying if you went and tried to talk to him, you get the crap beaten out of you.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to CHAZ. I have zero interest in going to CHAZ.
So then don't compare it to Daryl Davis, who did go and meet with Klan members.
Okay, well, I'm doing what I can. I'm here. I have a
sure.
I have a show. I could talk about the beliefs that I have.
sure.
So I'm doing it in my own way.
So
this is my platform.
When the conversations tried to happen in Occupy over
Okay.
these very things, you know what they did? Facilitators showed up and started chanting. And then everyone started chanting, and then everything shut down. And that's a tactic they use specifically to make sure the conversations can't happen, whether any good-natured people want to happen or not.
Well-
so I do believe there are a lot of good people that you can talk to, because I've talked to my friends about stuff. I've explained them things to them, and they come around and understand certain points. But if you go to these events and go to these meetings, they'll get physical. Because look, man, these people, the people organizing this stuff, believe it or not, are well read. Not the average person there. They understand like rules for radicals.
Yep.
They understand cult manipulation techniques, and they understand how you, by having these conversations, are trying to subvert them. So they called Daryl Davis a white supremacist. Quite literally, at the event I put on.
That's crazy.
He tried to talk to them. Get this. He posted about it on Facebook. The man who was able to meet with 200 Klansmen and de-radicalize them tried going over to these activists to talk to him, and they started screaming Nazi and white supremacist at him, and he posted on Facebook, what the hell was this?
Yeah.
And his Facebook post got like 30,000 shares of people being like, whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The guy who could de-radicalize the Klan couldn't even have a conversation with these people.
These are the people who are reeing the loudest because they are desperate for attention. They are desperate for a connection. They want to be a part of something because they're not. And a majority of people are a part of something already. They have their life that they're a part of. So when these people that are reeing, that you're saying are you can't even question them, you can't talk to them. You know, when they start coming to try to spread that message, they're gonna meet confidence. They're gonna meet someone who's confident, and they're gonna be like, "Bah!" And that confident person is gonna be like, "Get out of my way," and keep moving forward.
What do you mean with that?
I'm talking about the majority of Americans. You keep trying to. It almost feels like you're convinced that this minority of people. It is a minority. It's a minority of a minority.
8%.
No, it's not even an 8% because it's less than that. The people that are actually like psycho crazy that can't be changed. It can't be 8%. But those people, sure, you can't change that. But there's 92% of the rest of us that are like, these people are crazy. We're gonna have a normal conversation and move forward in life. And
then why every single major corporation bends the knee? Every single video game bends the knee.
Because they want money. They want the money. They don't want to lose. And
they're losing money. Go broke is a meme because they burn down so often.
Yeah, because
and there are very few moments.
They're clueless. They're clueless. That's the thing. They are so far away from the average person that they have no idea what's going on. They're like, oh, I should put up a rainbow flag because that means we're not against the gays. And it's like, what? Like, what? And if you didn't, does that mean you're against it? And in Oakland, right, they would smash your window in if you didn't have. And it's like, man.
So they're not getting money. They're trying to save their own lives. So regular people who are not crazy,
they're clueless.
Regular people who are not crazy are getting on their knees and begging for safety.
And that's because they're not having the kind of conversations that we're having. And that's my point. Because when people start having conversations like this, not battles, conversations, talking, give me your point. I want your point of view. Give me your point of view. I'll give you my point of view. Let's converse. Let's become stronger from that. That's lost. But social media, we've been told for years, you could be anything you want. Shoot for the stars. You're special. You can do whatever you put your mind to. And it's like, sure, but you have to work for it. You aren't special. We're ants on this earth. You got to work. You got to get up and do work if you want to be anything.
These conversations have been happening in circles like the intellectual dark web.
Okay.
And on shows like Joe Rogan, where the biggest podcast in the world routinely rags
podcast in the world
is completely unable to stop the rapid transformation of society and the destruction of our founding fathers and the general who defeated the Confederates.
Dude.
Even though the Joe Rogan podcast has been around for a decade and he's hosted Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and the Weinstein brothers and Dave Rubin and Crowder, and we've had these conversations over and over and over again. Every single American who is not in that 8% fringe gets on their knees and says, please leave me alone whenever someone comes to them and threatens their job. They will not stand up for themselves. That's what I've been saying about what they need to do. People need to do something, and the first step is telling your boss, shut up or I quit. But they won't. Video games get made that are ridiculous, that have insane plots and insane ideologies. People complain about it. They get called Nazis in the press.
Yep.
And the regular people know it's crazy. They're watching their cities burn down. And then what happens when they rip down Thomas Jefferson? Nothing.
You're
and
right.
the Democrats in New York City are calling now for Thomas Jefferson to be removed from the New York City Council chamber. And where are our politicians? Where are the regular Americans, the silent majority, to stand up and say, we'll be silent no longer? Nowhere to be found. What are they going to do? They're going to go in the voting booth and say, I'm going to pull the lever for Trump, who in the past 4 years has been unable to stop any of this. We've had a great economy. A lot of people made a lot of money. And what's happened? It's been worse. So here's what I think is going to happen. If Trump wins, the left will go insane and burn it all to the ground, and regular people will hide in their homes with their newly found love of guns, and they'll say, oh no, what do we do? And the left will probably gain tons of ground and go insane, and people will say, please leave me alone. And if Joe Biden wins, they'll take over all our cultural institutions, they'll put psychotic and insane definitions in our dictionary, and they will take over, and regular Americans will say, please, for the love of God, just leave me alone. And they never will. They'll never stop coming. They will take your job away. They will come for your parents. You will do something wrong, they'll fire your mom. They'll come to your house with fireworks and guns, and Americans will still just say, please, just leave me alone. And that's how it is. Even in the Revolutionary War, most people, the largest majority of people, were non-initiated. There was a small faction saying no revolution. There was a larger faction saying revolution, and the bulk said, please just leave me alone. So long as we've been dealing with the psychotic cancel culture, and I've been hearing about people like James Lindsay saying this, and Coleman Hughes saying, I get messages all the time from people saying this is insane and must stop. Well, where are you to stand up at your job and tell your boss to shut up when he says, I'm going to put out this bland brand message that panders to these woke lunatics? Where are you to say, if you do that, I quit? They say, fine, quit. Okay, I will. And I'll go start my own company. Nowhere to be found. So we have these conversations, and what happens? I'm under threat from being banned every single day. I just had a video today labeled as hate speech. And when I asked them to overturn it, they said, not this one. You're on thin ice. But don't worry, Tim, you mostly play by the rules. We're okay with what you say. So how long until they cut my channel off? And they've been doing it over and over again for the past several years, and people are nowhere to be found. Now, of course, they go online and they'll post things. But then when it comes to their real life job, when it comes to the woke mob coming for them, they just bend the knee and they beg, please, woke lunatics, just don't hurt me and I'll leave you alone. I'll let you have whatever you want, because I don't care about the future for my children. I don't care about where this country goes. I don't care about all the statues they've just destroyed. And then what happens? The Republicans, nowhere to be found.
You're absolutely right.
I have no confidence in any of these people to do anything. I can sit here all day and guess what? Smack talk me all day and night. Say, Tim Pool, all you do is complain about things. You're completely right. But at least I quit my job when I worked for Disney and they said, lie to the public. I said, fuck you. And I told them, cut my contract off. And they said, no. Welcome to the golden handcuffs, Tim. You got one more year under lock and key. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do what you want. And then finally it came to August and I said, bye-bye, I'm going to go do my own thing. And guess what? It worked. So where the fuck is everybody else? Nowhere to fucking be found. Congratulations, we're demonetized. I don't give a shit at this point. No one is doing anything. And for years, I've routinely said, you need to stand up for yourself and tell these people to back off. And you won't do it. Maybe you guys will, but most people won't. So there's people online complaining all day and night. Yep. Okay, walk away. Stop. They won't do it. So why should I have any confidence after a decade of this? I'm willing to walk away and go live in the woods when all this just falls apart. I walked away from working with a Disney company that was offering to pay me fat cash if I just played ball.
Yep.
And I said, no, I won't do it. And you know what they did at that company? They called me a white supremacist. The white people at this company who are getting fat cash from Disney called me, the mixed race guy, the white supremacist.
Yep.
And I didn't care. I said, dude, you know what, man, my worst case scenario is I go and skate and mind my own business.
Why do you think so many people want you to get into office? Because it's people like you who see the issue. And even me, like you and I, we've had enough of these conversations to be sick of these kind of people. I agree with everything you said. You're absolutely right. They should be standing up. And if you have an issue with what's going on in our government, get into government. Take over the system. Let's change the system. You know, it's like I am going to remain optimistic. It's just in my nature. So but I agree. I agree with what you're saying. You're right. People aren't standing up. You know, I keep saying like, well, they're going to finally hit those Americans that are going to, you know, show them what's for. Yeah, but it's like, but you got a good point. They're not fighting. These statues are being ripped down.
One guy showed up.
One guy showed up,
Mexico.
and they attacked him, and he shot a person for it. It's like,
and that's bad, and I don't want that to happen.
I don't want anyone to get shot either.
I don't want people to go out and engage in physical conflict.
Absolutely not.
Right now, people need to stand up in their schools, in their jobs, and say no.
Damn straight.
But they won't.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Because I don't know.
Privilege.
Because we're comfortable. Because society has left everyone comfortable. In their comfortable little world, they don't understand what we have anymore. It's not cherished. We don't appreciate what we have. It is the norm. And that's the issue. Everyone thinks that this is just what life is like. This is what life is. You have a house. You have a toilet. You have food at the store. That's where the food comes from. The store. It's like, no. It's society as a whole that's brought us here. And we've learned a lot in our past. And we have to use that to help us get to the future. And people aren't having that conversation.
I think when you look at the fact that the biggest podcast in the world, which just did this massive $100 million deal,
Okay.
Joe Rogan routinely calls these people out and rags on them.
Yeah.
The fact that Donald Trump won shows that there is a large group of people in this country that are sick of this. And then I think it also shows that as this stuff continues to expand and encroach, these are the people who won't do anything about it. So you look at the fact that they ransacked a bunch of major cities, where a lot of these people who hate this stuff live.
Yeah.
You look at the fact that they flat out said that they're going to put a man in front, the potential for death row, because he did his job as an officer and defended himself against someone who stole his weapon.
It's crazy.
No one protested for that. No one's protesting right now. A video was released where they're like, this is a disgrace. What happens when you have a guy in St. Louis? I don't know the exact story, but it was an armed robbery. He was at a gun, and he engaged in a firefight with the cops. Cops killed him. They rioted for it. And because of that, they won. And people then started giving them what they wanted. But the rest of us we don't do this. And for good reason. Riots are bad. It's not what we want. But what I'm saying is we've come to the point where they've smashed all the windows. They've said your churches are no longer allowed. They've welded the gates shut to Jewish playgrounds. And they've spat in your face and laughed the whole time. And still, what do people do? Please just leave me alone. They've literally
complacency. It's their comfortable bubble.
It's fear.
And I just want to be left alone in my little bubble.
I don't want to lose my job.
I just want to be comfortable. I just want to live my life. That's what everybody wants.
Yep. So I'm not confident. I'm not confident Trump is going to win. And if the polls are accurate, then maybe what we believe in, civil libertarianism, the things that we talk about, liberty, don't tread on me, the right to freedom of free speech and expression, they may be already dead. You look at who YouTube props up, who makes it to these big commercials. You look at the fact that Colin Kaepernick went through 3 years of being in a negative position, sort of.
Yeah.
But he still got a Nike deal. And now they're talking about re-signing him. He won. He's going to win in the end. His whole shtick for manipulation and for bucks is going to work out for him. You look at all of these video game companies, and they've just kept pushing through. No matter how much people said this is whack and I don't like it, they're like, we don't care what you like, and we don't care if we burn out and make no money. So get woke, go broke is not a law, but it is a tendency. And so you look at these companies that are willing to lose money and just keep doing it. And then eventually they'll be right, I guess. But the people who are demanding it don't have money. And then it ends up just happening. And so, when you look at The Last of Us 2, you have a narrative which does not reflect the majority of how people view the world.
Sure.
But so long as they keep smashing this in your face, eventually you just give up and say, fine, please, I'll take whatever you make me take. And so there it is. They're going to ban hate speech. Right now, California is going to repeal they voted to repeal the civil rights provision from their constitution. How much longer will our understanding of the First Amendment exist? The right to free speech. How long until they rule, well, hate speech actually isn't, because the UN already said so. In Europe, they already said so. So how long till in the US, when they say the Supreme Court rules, what happens if Biden wins and they put on a bunch of liberal justices who then rule, free speech does not include derogatory statements made about someone based on their protected status. And then free speech is void because everything is offensive.
Right.
Well, then if it happens, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go live in a van down by the river, I guess. But at least I quit my job. I refuse to stand for it. I don't think there's a position where I can go out and protest or anything.
Yeah.
But I've made it my point to constantly talk about these issues as they get worse, and to tell people how bad it's getting.
Yeah.
But when I worked for this company, and they told me to lie, I said no. And they were like, well, you have to. I said, no, I don't. You can cut my contract off right now. And they're like, well, how about we talk about it in a few months? And then they literally just had me do nothing. So we were trying to do this show when I was working for, supposed to be working for a different company.
Yeah, we met the CEO. He was all about it. He was like, yeah, you should do it.
He didn't want this conversation to happen.
No,
he was like, well, our audience is progressive, so we want to side with them, whatever they want.
Yeah.
And that's where you end up. He was wrong, by the way. The company went up in flames. It's hilarious. They invested by some metrics $1 billion into a woke new media company, and it failed for that reason. And they are still trying. As these companies,
are they really?
Not them.
In general, everybody.
I'm just talking about these other companies that are like New York Times is going woke, firing, forced resignations, protests. And there's, I think it was again, maybe was it James Lindsay? I'm always citing these guys because they're very, very savvy on this stuff.
Yeah.
That the New York Times is going to be worn like a skin suit and pumped full of nonprofit dollars. Where these ideologues are injecting money through donation, and then our cultural institutions give them a decade or 20 years, and then they've erased an entire generation. And then what's it called? Year zero.
Yeah, year zero. So where they revisit everything in history.
If you can hold this out they've been going strong for about a decade. If they can hold it out for about another decade, then we will have an entire generation of people who view that as the real world and us as some ancient relic of freedom and liberty that doesn't exist. And it may already be too late. We may already have won.
I guess that's where my optimism might annoy you, but
it's not about optimism or pessimism, I guess. I'm not annoyed by the fact you're optimistic. I'm annoyed by the people who agree but won't stand up for themselves.
Okay.
You know what I hate more than
I'm annoyed at them too.
You know what show I absolutely detest? Married with Children. You know why?
It's been a while since I've seen it, but
Al Bundy.
What about him?
He's a loser.
Yeah, he was.
He wouldn't defend himself ever. And the one time he did, he won. Well, maybe not the one time. I haven't seen every episode, but Married with Children was one of the most popular sitcoms. I believe it was the top rated in like the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And it was about a guy who was the high school, football star. He got married and now he's miserable. Shoe salesman at a mall.
Right.
Absolutely miserable. And he was always getting walked all over. He was always upset and always losing. And it made me angry to watch this pathetic man refuse to actually make a change in his life. And I hated it. But there was one episode where someone got into it with him, so he punched him. And then he sued the other guy for hurting his fist with his face. That was the joke.
Right.
But it was one of the few episodes where he was laughing with his wife, Peggy, where he had a bunch of money. And that's one of the ones where I liked it, where he finally stood up and said, enough. Or how about this? He went to his window, opened it, and said, I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. But we don't have that. No, those people are gone. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what it'll take to get them to actually tell their bosses, cancel me. For these people to go online and say, shut up. Now they'll get banned, I guess. And that's unfortunate. I didn't say it was going to be easy, but if you keep choosing if you choose the easy route the whole time and you refuse to take responsibility for the future of this country and this world, then don't be surprised when it becomes a heaping mess of just trash.
Hey boss.
Garbage.
Hey boss. Don't cancel me.
I'm not going to cancel you.
Never.
Just kidding.
No way.
Well, we were supposed to do super chats, but then I went on a rant.
Woo.
And
I pushed you into that. And I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. And I'm glad that you said it exactly as you did, because that's what people need to hear. That's true. Everything you said is true. People aren't standing up. They need to stand up.
It's been like this my whole life. I remember when I had a friend who was a server complaining about the law that in Chicago you could get paid like $3 an hour. And I said, so quit. And they're like, but I need my job. And I was like, but they're paying you $3 an hour and you're not getting tips.
Yeah.
Well, I should be getting tips, but there's like, business is bad. I'm like, so quit.
Yeah. Go somewhere else.
I don't want
Stop complaining. That's wallowing. That's what I've been saying. It's like, don't wallow. Figure the path forward and go down that path.
If you just quit and everyone else had the same mentality of I must do what needs to be done and I'm not going to beg, then they would have changed. Then these restaurants would have to they'd be forced to compete.
Yep.
But so long as you keep saying, I have no choice and I'll just take what I'm offered. There's a saying in sales, you get what you ask for.
Yep.
And if you won't ask, you won't get it.
Exactly.
So I quit. I don't care.
Well, I'm asking people to get involved. Don't just vote. Get involved.
You've been saying it too, and that's
I'm
going to
continue saying it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to continue. That's
How-
that's what we need. We need people to get involved.
You know, it's funny.
Stand up and say what's right.
If there is any group of people in this country that is determined to stand up for what they believe in under facing all odds and all detriment, it's the woke left.
You're right. That's true.
They will risk. The Taco Bell guy wanted to wear his Black Lives Matter mask at work, and they said no. He got fired. He refused to back down.
Yeah.
Guess what? They offered him his job back. He doesn't know if he wants it. They changed the rule. Everybody can wear the masks now. Everybody can wear Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That guy said, fire me. I dare you.
Yeah.
And they did, and he won. Now I think about all these other people who got canceled, and they just walk away with their tails between their legs.
So there's actually something to be learned from these far left folk. Be confident in your convictions.
Take risks.
Be confident. I am right. I'm gonna shout it to the from the mountaintop how I'm right. Listen to what I'm saying. People that think like us, that you're so mad at, they're like, nah, most people, they feel like I do. So, this will die out.
And it won't.
No, because they've got conviction. They finally found a purpose. They are purposeless people. And here it is. Finally, someone said, you're making a difference in this world. Go get him, Tiger. And they're like, wow, I'd never heard that from anyone in my whole life. But man, that feels good. I'm going to continue this. We need that. We need to make it honorable to do that, to stand up, to be hated, but not care. Man.
I have had some of these far left Antifa types tell me on Facebook, don't forget, Tim, you were first against the wall.
Yep.
I don't smoke.
I heard that.
I don't smoke. But I'll tell you what, if it comes time and these people actually end up winning and they say I'm a heretic who stood against the revolution.
Well, they'd have to find you though.
I'm assuming they do.
That's true.
Down
and
by
they
the river.
take me to the wall. I'll take a cigarette and I'll smoke it with a smile on my face. And that's it. And I'll say, bring it on.
Yeah.
Because I know what I did.
Sounds like you smoked something.
Speaking of
That's what happens when you start yelling and you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm not
No,
sorry. I'm not
whatever,
sorry.
man.
I'm not sorry at all.
I said everything
That
I
was a
wanted to
lie.
say.
Yeah.
These people really believe this stuff.
Yeah.
They really believe this is the revolution. They've said it in videos.
It's true.
There's a video where they're yelling at cops saying the history books will remember June 2020 and what you did, pointing to a cop and saying that to him. They really do think it.
Yep.
These people are insane and they're destroying everything.
Yep.
But you know what? They're the ones who are out in the streets and making it happen. And I'm losing my voice now, so I probably should stop.
Yeah.
Tea time.
Yep. Tea time.
Normally we would be getting into super chats like an hour ago.
Yeah.
But we kind of, you know what? This was needed. We are at a point in this world, like life, normal life. What is normal life? I don't even remember what normal life is. And you know what? That's fine, because we need to make a new normal. We need to analyze everything, and we got to somehow bring everyone together. And that is the toughest. I can't figure it out. I don't have the answers, but I know Tim is absolutely right, where we're not going to get there if we don't say something, if we don't start getting up and saying, you're not going to rip apart the Constitution, because they're going to come for that next. Who wrote the Constitution, right?
Oh, white men.
A bunch of white people that owned slaves.
Oh,
and it's
gosh.
like, okay, so they're going to rip that up? It's like, they got slavery to be ended because of that piece of paper, right? You know that, right? They don't care. We have to
Ulysses S. Grant defeated the Confederates.
Exactly.
And he wrote about this needs to be, he wrote how this is the end of slavery, and so be it.
Yep.
And they tore him down.
Yep, they tore him down.
They don't care.
He fought for them. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Privileged. It's manipulation and excuses, and their goals are insane, but their strategy is working.
Yeah.
And they have conviction. So, I was thinking about the Hidden Tribes study, more in common. Conservatives are 25% of this country. Progressives are 8%. liberals are inactive. They call it the exhausted majority.
Okay.
Which means when it comes, traditional liberals, so they actually have a test. You can go to their website, take the test. I'm a traditional liberal.
Okay.
I'm right next to the progressives, right next to it.
Wow.
But the progressives are the woke lunatics of authoritarianism, and I think they're insane. The rest of the traditional liberals are exhausted and not active, not paying attention. But you'd think that the conservative majority would be able to actually do something. You know, the problem is, though, the Republicans are spineless, do-nothings.
Yep.
Tom Cotton has my respect for speaking out against these statues.
Yep.
But why did it take so long? Trump spoke out about it. All right, my respect as well. But Trump has such tact problems, talking about testing and Somalia and all this stuff. And I'm just like...
Well, he's not a politician.
Yeah. He did. You hear what he said in his speech?
What?
I ran for public office one time and became president of the United States.
Yep.
That's good, man.
Love it.
He's an entertainer.
He's right.
But why is it that it's him? Where is literally anybody else? Where's Anderson Cooper? Where is anybody to be like, yo, tearing down George Washington is psychotic?
Yeah, I don't get
No,
it.
I'm sorry. Chris Cuomo said, show me where it says the protests must be peaceful.
I know, that's
It's
insane.
right there in
It's
the
right there in
First
the
Amendment.
First Amendment,
Mr.
Co-
Como.
Mr. Como.
You just got to look it up.
Props to some guy.
Yeah.
Ramen
Shout
Bell.
out
Ramen
shout out
guy.
to some guy.
Yeah.
Isn't that his name?
Some guy
Some guy.
87, I think.
Some guy 87.
Yeah.
That was great. You just got to look it up.
Classic.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
Once the mob came for CNN headquarters, CNN they dropped to their knees in 2 seconds to support the riots.
Yep.
That's what works, man. It's what it's always worked. These people, you know, and let's be fair. Let's be fair to all these people watching. Think about if you were sitting atop an ivory tower and you were in charge of some capacity, and you look out the window and you see people ramming your door, screaming how they're gonna end you. And then you look to the other group and they're sitting there saying, we don't like what they're doing. This is awful. You'd be like, okay, well, they're doing nothing. They're not helping me. These people are going to kill me. Please don't kill me. I agree with you. That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's right. That
This-
looks about right.
This is what I've been saying. Why does Twitter bend the knee? Because the liberals, the classical liberals and the conservatives will never show up to Twitter HQ with pitchforks. But Antifa does.
Yep.
And they're in the Bay. So they're like, well, look, if we want our windows smashed out, we better just give them what they want. And so then big brands see this and they play along. And that's how a tiny fraction of people manipulate the entirety of our culture, as everyone else is too scared to lose their job. Well, you know what? Then look, those who would give up a little bit of, those who would give up their freedom for a little bit of security,
Deserve neither.
and we'll lose both.
Mm-hmm.
And so these people who are sitting at their jobs thinking, well, I have my job security. I'm not going to speak up to defend my freedom. Congratulations.
There's
You
no
will
such
lose
thing.
both.
There's no such thing as job security anymore.
Of course not.
That doesn't exist.
But these people are weighing the options. My job equals income, which keeps me safe and fed. Freedom is great, but freedom doesn't get me food. So I will gladly take the security of this job over the freedom and the right to speak my mind. And then guess what happens? They'll eventually just fire you anyway.
Yep.
You know, Chelsea Handler posted a video of Louis Farrakhan, and he was talking about separating the races or something. I didn't want to watch the guy for the most part. There was a woman saying, how could you speak up and say these things about, you know, the races and separation?
Yeah.
And then Farrakhan starts explaining himself. Chelsea Handler. Yeah, famous celebrity, verified, and a bunch of other celebrities posted it as well, apparently. And when challenged, saying that you're promoting an anti-Semite, she said, well, you have to understand his views come from his oppression. You have that. You have the organizers of the Women's March. You have this rise of anti-Semitism. And you'd think that when that was happening, people might be like, hey, yo, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what's going on here? Nope. You'd think that when California voted to repeal their civil rights clause from their constitution.
Might be a red flag.
Yeah, it might be a red flag.
Maybe.
Some people might be like, whoa, hey, whoa.
What are you doing?
Whoa.
But no.
But no.
Nope.
They don't do it. So for me, those are red flags. And I'll tell you what else is a red flag. This keeps happening. It keeps getting worse. Where are the regular people standing up? They're not. That's the biggest red flag. You know what that says to me? It means the lunatics on the left are going to win and get what they want. And they're going to put people against the wall. There's going to be some kind of civil war. And you know what's funny is people say, like, you know, I've had a few posts being like, Tim's very black-pilled talking about civil war. It's like, I'm sorry, bro, but I'm citing two different professors here. I did not make this up. When Brett Weinstein said it on the Joe Rogan podcast, some kind of, you know, civil war, And then you had that other professor, Peter Turchin, say, I predicted this 10 years ago, and I think the next step may be a civil war. You have people like Bill Maher even saying the rhetoric from our shows could lead potentially to a civil war. You have New York Magazine saying these things. And I'm like, all I can do is defer to a variety of experts and pundits on their opinions, and then take a look at what I'm seeing. I agree. But what I also don't see is, while there are people on the right who have guns and stuff, well, they mostly just mind their own business and want to be left alone. Quite literally, the Gadsden flag, don't tread on me.
Yeah.
So they'll sit back and defend themselves as everything else gets worse every day. Instead, they should be speaking up more.
That's short-sighted too. It's not just about you.
Yeah, it's about your country.
Yep.
So, all right, man. Well, should we try and grab some super chats?
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
we
Do a few.
should.
Even though I'm like
yeah.
losing my voice like crazy.
Lots
'cause
of
we
people.
just
Hey,
ranting.
listen, everybody. Smash that like button.
That's right.
They did.
Smash
They sure
that like
did.
button.
We had a large audience this evening.
we said a lot of stuff today.
There's a lot of
I
things.
swore a lot, so we're demonetized now.
we,
Just keep that in mind.
we pushed the bar a little bit, and I regret nothing.
Oh no, I love it.
Absolutely not.
I mean, this kind of stuff needs to be said. So smash that like button for us. Share these videos. You know, talk about this with other people.
Share these with other people.
Yeah,
Talk about
seriously, not even about our videos. Talk about this kind of stuff. The inability to talk about that. Let that lead. You know, but most importantly, talk. We gotta be outreaching to others and spreading this message of community. We gotta bring it back together. We gotta fight for our planet, our communities, everything. It feels like they want to destroy all of us. So
They don't want
so
equality.
smash that like button.
One of the
Bottom
things
line.
you can do if
Yeah.
you want to try and talk to friends and family is look up the Repeal Proposition 209 Affirmative Action Amendment on Ballotpedia. The challenge here is the manipulative tactics of the media and the Democrats in California, who have put affirmative action in the title and then made the argument about restoring affirmative action. The bill itself in no way says anything about affirmative action. It quite literally just says the following text will be removed from the Constitution.
Yeah.
The state shall not discriminate or provide preferential treatment to a person based on their race, color, sex, ethnicity, or national origin. It removes those protections. Explain that to your friends and family members and ask them why the Democrats would do that.
Yep.
It's very difficult because these people are convinced the Republicans are evil. They're convinced that this is all about affirmative action. But just be calm and say, this is what I said to my friend. Well, if it was about affirmative action, why didn't they just add one sentence that said, this will in no way prevent affirmative action?
Right.
Or this clause will not be taken to, prevent selective higher, academic practices or whatever, enrollment practices. No, they just got rid of the whole thing. Ask them. See what they say. I don't know what else you can do. But I will tell you this, when it comes to your workplace, you might get fired. Yeah, it's reality. And maybe if you don't, then the alternative is worse. Honestly, maybe it's just too late. And then if you lose your job, then you have no resources, and that's what they want too. Maybe it's been too late for a long time. I don't know.
You know what? This calls for an honorary
I
UFO
think so.
spin.
I agree.
This is for everybody. This is for all you guys.
Everyone who's been waiting for us to spin it.
What's ZAR? Paul Bedard says, Tim, you must keep fighting, brother. I've only just stumbled onto you recently, but I promise people are waking up big time and we're gaining momentum. I work for one of the biggest and wokest leftist companies in the world and have just resigned. We're gaining momentum.
Oh, wow.
Well, I respect it tremendously. I'm sad to hear that that's what has to happen, right? When I worked for Fusion, I tried leaving.
It has to happen. It has to happen.
Not even a little bit over a year into my contract, I was like, if this is what you want to do, I shouldn't be here. And they didn't want to sever. So I ended up sitting there at the company, just kind of doing my own thing until the contract finally. They tried paying me more money. One day I woke up $40,000, just right in my bank,
Holy cow.
and I said, "Are you firing me?" And they were like, "No." And I was like,
No.
"Let me know when the contract's up."
We're trying to convince you to speak what we
Golden
want.
I got a
you to
phone
say.
call, and they said, "We need to talk." And I said, "This is it.
Yes,
Finally,
thank
they're going to cut my
goodness.
contract off."
Please cut me off.
And they said, look, company is going through a lot of changes. And I was like, And they're like, and because of the restructuring,
Yeah.
we're going to give you a bonus. And I went, what? And they're like, we want to give you a bonus. How does that sound? I said, sure.
They're like, but you need to say this speech
They didn't
that
say
we
that.
wrote for you. No, I know.
But I understand. I understand
Yeah.
that they, and then I woke up one day and I was laughing.
Yep.
Just money dumped in my account. And then, sure enough, come the end of my contract, the same guy calls me and says, we're parting ways. And I said, thank you.
Yes.
Well, if you want to do that to your employees, I wouldn't have any issue with it.
Dumping money. In
Everyone
your
out.
account. As long as
Oh, no, wait,
money.
no. The dumping money into their
The
accounts.
money part, yeah.
Yeah, that part.
You know what, man? I've been homeless.
I know you
I've
have.
slept in a park.
Me too.
Yeah.
There's
I've
nothing
been
you
there.
can take from me. These people who think that they have power over me.
Yep.
It reminds me of Bane. You know, they gave me money and I'm like, do you think this gives you power over me?
Right.
No, I'm sorry. You made a mistake. No, I offered you exactly what I brought to the table. They told me what they wanted when I signed, and then they changed the game and said, side with the audience. And I said, I will just tell the truth. And they said, I was like, well, then you can tear it up, baby.
Yep.
They didn't want to
Please
do it.
Yep.
They didn't want to look like fools. Everett Beatty says, have the courage of your conviction. The tree of liberty must constantly be watered with the blood of tyrants. Isn't it the blood of patriots?
I think it is Patriots.
Patriots?
I believe.
Meaning people must
Yeah,
sacrifice.
it's a new era.
Sacrifice has to
But
be made.
I don't want violence.
I don't either. I'm not saying that.
I'm anti-violence. I'm anti-death penalty.
Yep.
I think the challenge, though, is it's you know,
There is violent people out there.
if everybody who believed in this sat down and did what the left does and says, I'm not moving, it would be over in 2 seconds.
That's a good point.
Whoa, the rest of that quote. Okay. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It is its natural manure, which is interesting. And he goes on to say, this is Thomas Jefferson, God forbid we should ever be 20 years without such a rebellion. Which is
Whoa.
really interesting. Yeah.
You know what, man?
That's a short time period.
Yeah.
I've been ranting quite a bit on why I love this country and have a lot of reasons to actually hate this country, considering I would say a lot of reasons to hate this country, but not like more so than why I love it.
Yeah.
The miscegenation laws and what that meant to my family and what it really means to have succeeded as an American with everything America has created. We are the greatest nation on this planet. We have a lot of problems. So do a lot of other countries. People like to compare us to the Scandinavian countries, small countries of 8, 10 million.
Yeah.
So you want to compare all of Europe and all of their history, then we can talk about, you know, the problems both have shared. But civil rights law, the Supreme Court, we just had the Supreme Court affirm LGBT rights. Shouldn't that show these people it works? It doesn't. And so there's a constant attempt to appease them, and it never works.
That's true.
No matter how much good is done for them, they're angry and angrier every single day.
Well, what's that doctor's name that your friend Jacqueline, is that her?
Carlin?
No, maybe not. I can't think of the name, but
Carlin Borsenko?
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, she's up in arms about
Yeah,
this
she
too.
hit me up. She tagged
no
me in
one's doing
something
anything?
last week.
Yeah, she's like,
saying,
why aren't you doing anything?
after Friday's show, I think she was saying that it's not that people are just. I forget what we were talking about, but it's about being addicted to emotions.
Yes, I saw
and
that.
being
Yeah,
addicted to negative emotions,
Right.
and being in that space and getting their dopamine kick, not from sugar like we were talking about, or the Instagram like count. It's that anger that people they're stuck in it. They get addicted to it. They thrive in anger, and you can't pull someone out of that sometimes. Some people are just lost to anger, and that's what a lot of these people are. They're being fueled by rage and anger. It's this emotional state that's like, some people, I don't know, like we can't even pull them back from that.
Yeah.
It's a sad world.
That's what I'm saying.
Ban Twitter. Just ban it. Twitter's gone. Get rid of it.
Sure. I'm okay with it.
Let me see if I can try and grab a couple more super chats, but
do a
I
few,
mean
yeah.
it sincerely. My apologies. I am losing my voice over
He's
this.
losing
Yeah,
it.
you want me to read them?
Can you read it from here?
No.
I'll read them.
All right.
Carl Schneider says, Tim, the Civil War started when the Democrat Party stopped accepting the results of elections that they lose. The Civil War will get much worse before it gets better, but the fight will be worth it in the end. Nemo says, would it be beyond the realm of reason to have someone that has remained largely silent onto your show to speak up? If it wouldn't be, I'd love to talk with you. I think everyone would just view as the first word out of your mouth, and they would say, we know what tribe you are.
Yep. That's what I was saying. You're in these boxes. There's no conversation. It's always a battle. Always. Are you on my side or are you not on my side? That's the only thing I need to hear. If you're not on my side, I don't need to listen to you because I don't care what you have to say because you're not on my side. I'm sick of that. We have to be able to learn how to speak again and convey what we believe and hear and be able to hear the other person as well. I don't think that exists.
And we didn't even get to the craziest story of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Super chat from Carson says, talk about how Sean King wants people to tear down statues of Jesus and murals and stained glass windows.
I said it as a joke kind of last week when we were talking about Beethoven.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, no one's complained that Jesus is some white man that
Would
he
Christians
clearly wasn't.
defend statues of Jesus Christ?
I would think yes,
I think.
but I don't know.
I know the Christian church, and I don't think that they would.
Well,
I don't know.
I think about what Steven Crowder was saying over this cop, flipping the tables. And I also think about Crowder being he's very religious, right? He's very
He
very
is,
Christian.
yeah, yeah.
I can't imagine someone like Crowder would sit back as people tore down a statue of Jesus.
That's a good point.
Oh, he
the
would
founding,
not.
The founding fathers should not be torn down and should be defended at all
Yeah.
costs.
I agree.
I trust
tearing
the
down
individuals
Jesus
would
is
make it
something-
happen. I don't trust the church.
Something truly horrifying would happen if people they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
Yep,
I
it's
think
coming.
so. Yeah. Well,
Somebody-
let's there's a lot of big, huge super chats I saw go by. Let's try to hit those people up
Let's
because
try and see if we can
it's
get
a lot of
See what we can do.
support from you guys. I really appreciate all of you for hanging out with us tonight. Seriously, it was a big night. Solid
so also too, yeah, you can follow. Make sure to follow me at Timcast on Twitter and Instagram.
night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow at Adam Krigler.
You can follow
Twitter
me
and-
Instagram and Twitter. Hit me up. I always do a tweet every week. Although it's already at 400 comments, it's amazing that you guys are really inundating me with everything that's happening. So I'm gonna have to start splitting them up. But I'll always pin it at the top, so you can always find it. Just drop me a story, or scroll through it. Maybe that's already there. Just send it a like, and it'll pop out more.
You can also follow at Sour Patch Lids
Oh, yeah.
on
There you
Twitter.
go. That's me.
But let's read this from Sporkwitch. Heinlein predicted this in Starship Troopers. No punishment for children or criminals. No instilling of civic or personal responsibility. The collapse, rioting, looting, and why no one rose up later. They were comfy and lacked the courage to fight.
Yep.
Yeah, Starship Troopers is an interesting thing, man. About how you service to the society guarantees your right as a citizen.
Yep.
Captain Crunch says, definitely killed it tonight, Tim. Screw YouTube. YouTube is a net positive for all of us. It's a net positive.
You really did kill it tonight,
Yeah, man.
I mean, I forced you to say all that, and I'm glad.
I would have never normally said stuff like that on my normal channel unless we were having that
Yeah,
engagement.
absolutely not.
This is in real life, Timcast in real life for a
Yep,
reason. That's
yep.
what IRL
No,
is,
it's
and
not-
that's what we are doing. You know,
It's not that I would avoid saying it. It's that this is a real conversation.
right. It's
Where these
conversation
ideas were
between
actually, you know.
friends.
I love it.
Joseph Kasky says, too few of us are as confident in our ability to speak to these issues as you are, Tim. I'm considering, like Adam, getting into politics. I risk my relationship by engaging and point out the absurdity to those around me online and in public.
Do it.
They have allowed protests to continue for 26 days.
Yep.
They're still going on across the country, mostly in Portland, but there have been protests in Seattle, in DC, in Ohio, and they're still telling me and you we can't go outside. We finally got to go to a restaurant and sit down outside under a tent.
That was amazing.
Why should we grovel to these people who lit the Constitution on fire?
Yep.
Oh,
They-
we
you
follow the
you
rules.
realize, I hope you all realize, the federal government, I'm sorry, not the federal government, it was the state governments,
State government.
said the Constitution was void.
Yep.
And everyone just said, okay. How amazing. Bill de Blasio said, no protests allowed. I'm not exaggerating. He said, no protesting in NYC. Then when the Black Lives Matter protests happened, he said, good job, everybody. And the DA said, we're not going to charge any of you with any crimes. But no protesting, remember. I have to imagine certain people have to realize the absurdity of this. But as long as their tribe is winning, they don't care that the power will be used against them.
Yep.
Yep.
Peter O'Brien says, I believe this is well-deserved cash, well-spoken, cussing and all. Thank you. Well, it'll help make up for the demonetization because I swore,
gosh.
but maybe we'll figure out where the swears were for
Oh,
the...
I got it. I got it.
Because I swore like 4 or 5 times.
Right in a row though, so
Yeah, they're all
you clumped it in together.
close together.
Bill says, don't stop, Tim. You don't need the monetization. It's just for this one video where I did swear. But hey, it
Well,
happens.
it won't be in the clips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know
know.
it won't be.
So-
Oh no.
So your super chats are greatly appreciated.
Hugely appreciated
We-
tonight for sure.
Yeah, these the ad rev on live streams is nothing anyway. I mean, for a 3-hour show, it actually would be really, really big. But the
Right.
super chats more than make up for that. Captain Crunch says, keep fighting the good fight. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Azag says, would you consider getting a fan in the show? For sure, yeah. I mean, we're locked down. We're told we can't. Like this.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few months.
Right. Right.
We got a lot in the pipeline, man. There's a reason why I'm losing my voice, and it's not necessarily because of this show. It's because I'm recording and singing and talking for 4 or 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
Plus the normal talking humans do. Katie Bell says,
he never stops.
there is no such thing as a Jesus statue. It's just an artist's rendition of how they think he looked. Well, that's fine, but to many people, it's a symbol of
It's a
their
religious icon.
Any symbol. It
It's
doesn't matter. Ulysses S. Grant.
No,
They
but
took-
I mean Jesus is something else.
Right, but I mean, it's not about what any of these symbols represent. It's the fact that it is a symbol for
Yeah.
something that isn't their ideology, and that is what is at a threat right now to them. Tearing it all down. The Virgin Mary, there's statues of her.
But
They're coming for her.
right, I agree.
I'm sure, all of them.
Tearing down a statue of Ulysses S. Grant, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson will make someone very angry. It'll make some people scared that their country is under threat. Tearing down a statue of Jesus Christ or the Virgin Mary would be like plunging your fist into someone's chest and squeezing on their heart.
Yep.
These people will screech, an unbelievable screech, and they will do things you would very much wish they would not do.
You know,
And
you want a holy war. That's how you get it.
this is tearing. Listen,
Yep, they're asking for it.
I grew up Catholic. To the people who believe in this country and what they believe in terms of Christianity, this country is of men. The afterlife, the Lord, the Savior is everything. So you think you've seen rage. Wait till you go after these statues of Jesus, man.
Yep.
Maybe that's what they want, though.
I don't
To
know.
provoke these people,
I think they might.
to weaponize the violence for their favor and say, oh no, we're victims again.
Oh, they
Look
don't
what they're
know.
doing.
They don't know what they're doing.
They know not what they do. Commander Mickelent says, I just purchased a 7.62 rifle, 4 mags, and ammo. I'll be ready for the Civil War, and I will not kneel. When the lines are drawn, I will be there, and I refuse to go quietly. Trump is the last chance that many of us are given. I'm not confident there's listen, the only thing I can say right now is you want to protect yourself. The last thing we want is any violence. The last thing we want is anybody to get violent for any reason.
Yep.
We don't want, if someone tore down a statue, that's what my fear is. People will get violent.
Yep.
But even then, it's like people just need to speak and use their free speech. But
While
it's
they
getting,
still have it.
while they still have it. But please, everybody, we need to de-escalate everything. That's the scariest thing about all of this. We've had such a beautiful run,
Yep.
and we've done well to reduce all of the violence that we've seen. Crime is going down. Lethal violence is down. That's the last thing we want. And so, yeah, something needs to be done. Law enforcement needs to stop these extremists.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
really
understand.
what we need.
Yeah, I don't understand the delay, but
All right, let's see what we got. Lucas says, to publish the entire video knowing it will not pay. Oh, wait, did you say anything? Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it got cut off.
Probably. That's all
Toxic.
it needed to be said, though.
Oh, right on.
It'll be up there.
Yeah.
We're not taking anything down.
Toxic Duck says, as a 27-year-old Catholic conservative, if the fight comes to the church, I would be willing to lay down my life for the preservation of Christ's church. The church is not perfect, and I know that, but Christ is perfect. Time for Catholics to stand.
yeah, I trust the Catholic Church.
We've had issues with moral authoritarianism from the religious right in the 90s and 2000s, and that's what I grew up with, the principal issue. But it was never a threat to the destruction of our founding fathers and the country and the Constitution.
Yep.
And we got along. We did. And guess what? The liberals actually took ground and slowly started winning, and Christian conservatives came around and became much more libertarian. And in that was the opportunity for the extreme left to strike, that we had finally come to find some kind of peace.
Yep.
Not perfect, still arguments, but now you see Dave Rubin, a gay married man, sitting down with an Orthodox Jew like Ben Shapiro, in complete disagreement over the morality of their life choices, but in complete agreement that there is a greater threat. And that to me is nuts. Andrew Starr says, Tim, please put a clip of that rant out. I was thinking as you went along how eager I was to share it with friends and family. People need to hear what you are saying. We will.
I will
And
be censoring it.
It'll
be censored.
well, the F-bombs.
I swore too, actually. I got a
Yeah.
little heated.
I know.
A lot of beeps.
That's all right.
J.R. Miller says, Tim, your speech is a game changer. Don't give up. Oh, I'm never going to give up. It'll be funny when all chaos breaks loose. That's why I have the van, mind you.
Yep.
It's really funny. I went on the Joe Rogan podcast last year, and I mentioned, hey, man, when it all goes crazy, I'm going to have a van down by the river, and they all laughed.
Yeah.
Y'all laughed at me.
Now it's a legitimate self-sustaining van.
Now as
Well, you need to make food somehow, but
I got a cooler full of beans,
You
man.
could fish.
I got a cooler
That'll run out eventually.
full of
though.
beans. Yeah.
I
it
would
will.
start fishing.
I'll go.
Should
Definitely.
get some nice fishing rods.
The point of the van isn't because I think the world is ending. It's because the threats of violence are increasing, and they actually went to a friend of mine, Cassandra's house.
Shot her house up.
Fireworks and guns.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to discredit her, claiming she lied, even though the evidence is mounting in her favor.
It's crazy.
The neighbors confirmed it
Yeah.
on a recording, on the record, saying, "Oh man, the fireworks, that was crazy."
It's insane to think that they're trying to make it that never happened.
Yep.
It's like, what?
They're
There's so
trying
much
to
proof.
scare everyone. And so I'll tell you what, with that van, I can be who knows where,
Yep.
broadcasting my show
That's true.
until YouTube takes me down.
Right. Now
Yeah.
we'll figure out a new way.
All right,
We'll
let's
keep
see.
it coming to you guys.
Ario says, "Good mini meltdown, Tim. I had a moment last week where I flipped out at my job for all the things they never get fixed. Several people thought they would fire me, but I voiced my frustration. Didn't care if I lost my job."
Yes.
Right on.
That's what I'm talking about. Good
Siri-
for you.
Sears Return says, "I'm super new here, but I already value this podcast as much as the Joe Rogan podcast. Keep it up, guys. Loving it."
Thank you so much.
That means a lot, man.
really does. Wow.
I'm a big fan of Joe. I think he's one of the most important voices we have today. Even though he's just a comedian, even, you know,
Doesn't matter.
But he
It's-
won't back down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has confidence.
Sly Nunn says, "Prior service, but geez, it's hard to stand up when the right won't give me anything to stand up for. To defend the Constitution, we just need a bit of a restart. Keep our ideas, but man, make it reasonable." It's hard, man.
Yep.
Tredick says, Tim and Co, you can't stop. If U.S. falls, it inevitably means Europe will also fall. Old continent is already on the verge of collapse due to the rise of fascistic SJW cult and elite of the Brussels collaborating.
And you know who's going to take over? China.
Yep. Because this is more in line with what they believe.
Yep.
Censoring speech,
Yep.
the fake. There's no equality in China, that's for sure.
Exactly.
You'll all be second-class citizens.
Yep. Exactly.
Jim McCarty says, "Tim, stop ragging on yourself for doing nothing in the fight. Your integrity and honesty has made you speak up more than the vast majority of people. You're doing more than your fair share in the fight. Tell Christina I love her."
That's what I'm saying.
There you go. Okay, I got it.
Thank you for saying that.
I think we should start winding down.
Yeah, no, I know. I honestly, you started the show and your voice was a little gruff, and I was like, man, it's
'cause we
sounded
sang.
Even,
Friday was
that's
rough.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, not only did you sang, you belted. I listened to the show, and I was
All
like,
my songs
I'm like,
are
man,
heavy belting.
You were but not all the time. You push it, and,
Right.
and you pushed it, and your vibrato came out. I was like, oh man, he's really like singing the song to the fullest extent of the song, and that's
90%.
that's
There were
nice.
some parts where I
Oh, you were up there though.
went down.
So
Yeah, man.
above 80%. That's legit. You're getting into
I've
it.
had people express their concern.
So it's cool.
Saying like, "Oh man, you're losing your voice," you know, and it's like, well, yes. But normally when people sing really, really hard and heavy, and we recorded last week, so it's
True.
like,
Yeah.
I talk 4 hours a day. You can hear it. I'm going.
4 hours a day.
4 hours a day. You know, it's funny if I actually do a voice like this, it sounds better because I'm actually controlling it
You
better.
sound like
instead
an old
You
woman.
do sound
that
like
was
an
that
old
was
woman.
that was the point.
Nice.
Yeah, it
I can
was
do a really
great.
good Smeagol from Lord of the Rings.
I know. I've heard it.
Probably not right now.
Don't do it right now.
Awesome. No.
You really got to.
I'm really good at doing voices. Carson Hawkins says the LDS Church may be nice people, but hold strong conviction if the Father, Son, in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. So smash that like button,
Smash it.
subscribe,
Smash that like button.
notification bell.
Yes.
Someone mentioned
Smash.
spin the UFO, smash the like
I'll
button.
do it. I'm gonna spin it.
But what are we gonna bop?
The globe.
Bop it,
All right. So
spin it,
Spin it.
smash it, bop it.
We'll do our parts. You guys do your part.
All right. I'm spinning. That's step one.
All right.
Step
You can
two.
follow me
you
on
gotta
Twitter.
Smash it.
Yep.
At Timcast,
Smash.
Twitter and Instagram. You can follow it. Bop it.
Bop
You can follow Adam
I bopped
at Adam
him.
Krigler.
I just bopped him.
World
That's
War
funny.
III just started.
I'm fired.
And you can follow at Sour Patch Lids.
Yep. There we go.
Assuming I can talk tomorrow,
Yeah, you will.
we'll
There will be videos.
We'll be back tomorrow. The clips will be up. The clip of the rant will probably be up.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll get that one
You
up
do that
earlier.
first?
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll try and get it up earlier.
Cool.
That one's solid, man.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out.
People
you know.
need to hear it. I think both of us had really good, solid points that apply to everyone.
Yeah.
We just got to be more people need to talk and speak out.
Thank you to everybody who's watching because we started this show at the end of January of this year and it's taken off. And these are the kind of things that we talk about all the time.
Yep.
Just kind of like, you know, we usually plan out stories like, oh, we should talk about this, but then we just get into all these issues,
That's
Because
true.
we're just talking.
philosophy and news and
It was
stuff.
supposed to be a conspiracy / weird science
We're just
show.
like doing life with
For
all
the
these
most
people.
part.
We'll get back to that eventually, maybe.
Oh, I like
But the
this.
apocalypse
Hopefully.
happened.
But-
Like before
but there's
all this, I was
thing,
like,
you know, COVID and
and
the
then the
apocalypse
riots, and now it's like it's become everything.
so, well,
So
we do what
wow,
we can.
thanks for all the likes, subscribers, and everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. live,
Good night, everybody.
and we will see you all then.
Bye, guys.